It's week 2 for the PUBG Continental series for APAC. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from what's been a bit of a week off from week number 1. My name is Erangel. Joining me today, and once again, is Edge. Edge, we've got ourselves surely what's going to be another action-packed weekend PUBG action here for the APAC portion of PCS.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to look pretty interesting at the moment. Yeah, we've had some good games the previous week, and I'm going to say it's going to be another good week. So yeah, just looking forward to it.
You would hope so. You would hope so. Of course, last weekend we had the opening 8 matches, 4 games on Saturday, 4 games on Sunday, and it really didn't leave a whole lot to be desired. We had just about everything you could ask for. The end of it, we even had ourselves a bit of a clear leader as well with the Vine Esports. There's a hint of Q Confirm about them, of course, from what we saw in PCS1 from Q Confirm. I have to see though, of course, we're not even past the halfway mark. That will be the end of tonight itself, where we will reach 12 games, and then of course tomorrow night makes it 16 out of 24. So we are kind of getting towards the busy end. Well, not the busy end, I guess, because it's not the end, but the busy section really of this PCS.
Yeah, that's right. And the halfway point is generally where it sort of you start to see your teams getting stuck in their positions. So Divine, they've already had their killer games, so they're up there, they're happy, but you've got a big pack under that are looking to gain up on them, and then you've got your pretty much from your 10th to 16th position that are really looking to get up towards that top 8 so they can start making a big push towards the top.
Now, for any fans out there who have got keen eyes that have potentially seen the Battle Arena Elites are on just the 72 points and not the 74 points that they had at the conclusion of the first weekend, unfortunately for them, they have received -2 penalty points due to a rule violation, which was a personal misconduct from one of the players. So unfortunately, they're going to be dropping down to 72 points rather than 74. That puts them at a 20-point now deficit against Divine Esports. Look, Edge, in the grand scheme of things, 2 points, you would hope doesn't come back to haunt you. You would think that if they are going to overtake Divine Esports at some point, that 2 points shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, that's right. But long term, it can get very close. We've seen the previous NA PCS where you had shoot to kill win the entire tournament based off their kill differential over the second team. So, you know, if it comes down to 1 or 2 points and Bays missed out because of that, it's going to be pretty disappointing.
It certainly would be. Look, long way to go. We'll see if that has much of an impact. Looking at the damage, though, top 5 so far here for PCS2 APAC. Ronan, Waiki Kamukau leading the way for Fury. We saw Flood in there as well. So a lot of the OCE boys really doing well in terms of damage, but not translating to kills. And that's kind of been a theme for Fury over the many PUBG Continental series that we've had so far this year, is that they can get the damage edge, but they struggle to get the kills. These guys have it though. Venotika's probably the MVP from the first weekend. We'll see if he can back it up again for day trade. Sophia's doing very, very well for himself now for Battle Arena Elites. He's been a bit sluggish to start with on this new roster over the last few months, but has picked it up so far here for PCS2 APAC.
Yeah, that's right. And day trade's fragging's really showing through as they are in 4th position at the moment. So, you know, keep it up and you can definitely see yourself up there in the top 3 teams easily.
Yeah, day trade, of course, the very high edge for PCS2. They were essentially leading the way and then did fall short, did start to drop off. Divine, of course, ended up taking that top spot by the end of the weekend, not only taking it, but also taking, you know, quite a substantial lead. Day trade way down about 4th place now, but they're still in the money, they're still in the race, they've still got a really, really good opportunity ahead of them. The intriguing thing is that for Divine, despite their 20 over 2nd place, is the only one in this top 5 for kills with 15, tied with Norrens from day trade. So I guess that kind of suggests that it's not like 1 or 2 that are very top heavy. It's a well spread out, coordinated team of 4 that are getting the job done so far after the first weekend for Divine.
That's right. You're going to have a nice even split between a lot of your players. If your games are converted like that, like seeing Divine have 3 wins out of 5 games and having a 2nd place with their top win having 15 kills, like that's going to be spread out quite nicely. Definitely seeing the Diane's up there at the top.
Where do you see sort of things going now for Divine? Because of course they're going to be the hunted. Night 2 of the first weekend, they were still the hunters for a very short amount of time, chasing down day trade, then took the lead. Of course, they had all that momentum. Now with a week off, though, everyone can sort of strategize a bit more against them. And as I said, they're going to be hunted.
Yeah, that's right. Holding teams back is probably going to be the hardest thing for Divine here, because everyone wants this. Everyone wants to make that top 3 spot. Everyone wants to win. So Divine's going to have a pretty big issue, but you know, if they can keep up their wins, their top 2s, top 3s, a heap of kills, you know, you can keep it consistent to a point where you're just keeping that lead, but you really want to kind of extend it a little bit to make yourself a little bit more comfortable coming into this halfway point.
Exactly right. Of course, there's been a lot of the talking focus so far about the top teams, as it usually should be, rewarding, of course, the teams doing well. But there are teams down the bottom of the standings edge that have been, unfortunately, very disappointing, and no more than the likes of Cerberus Esports, for instance, currently sitting third last after 8 games played. It's not good enough, and we probably both sit here and think that their chances of winning PCS2 APAC are non-existent. The best case for them is to reform, find a way to get at least into the top 10, and then from there, maybe the best place they can finish is top 5.
Yeah, they've got a very long way to catch up, and I'd say it's nearing impossible now. Cerberus was one of those teams that you really expected them to be on the top. Like coming into this,
Yep.
people were expecting Buriram, Fury, and Cerberus to be your top 3 teams, and Cerberus really nowhere to be seen.
The other one, of course, was MSC Theraton. I've got my eyes on them. I've had my eyes on them since they came into the scene for PCS1 APAC. And, Yoshi Maburi was the MVP of the Thailand series. A lot of hype around him. And again, just a bit of a lackluster start here for PCS2 APAC. They did find a chicken dinner, and they do now sit in 10th place. So really, that night 2 over the first weekend, they did find a bit of momentum. They built something. The question is, how much more can they really gain here this now second weekend? Can they continue to keep moving forward into the top 10, or do they stumble back down? That's obviously a wait and see point of view. But again, sort of the same vein as Cerberus Esports, their likelihood of now winning is almost non-existent. I know we've only played the 8 games, and there's still more games to play rather than we've had played, but it's unlikely from here considering the way Divine's playing and the team's just below Divine as well.
Yeah, MSC's really going to have to pull out a couple more wins if they want to pick it back up. Teams like Archangel Predator as well. They were a team that I didn't have the highest standards for, but I know that they can definitely put it up there against the better teams, but they just haven't converted anything yet.
I mean, the thing, of course, though, with Archangel Predator, they finished, 4th in the Charity Showdown, but then they missed out on PCS1 APAC altogether. So there is that inconsistency with a team like Archangel Predator from typically, the Philippines region is not regarded as one of the stronger regions in Southeast Asia, in APAC. So I understand where you're coming from. I think there's definitely more that they could highlight. But in this particular lobby, it's always going to be very difficult for them to be able to do that. Everything needs to go right, which I think it did in the Charity Showdown for them. I think everything that could go right went right. And so far, it hasn't been the case here. But sort of going back to one of the interviews that we had on the first weekend, was that I think it was Jukesy who actually said it, that this lobby is not that strong.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you agree with that sentiment that we had on the weekend, that this particular lobby really isn't that strong?
I mean, realistically, you don't have Q Confirm, who was absolutely dominant last one, but you've still got your strong teams. But like missing out on Q Confirm, on the likes of Myth and all your other like top teams that got pushed out from their qualifiers, like it does lower the skill level a little bit. But then you've got other new teams come in, like you've got your Bay, who's come in for their first PCS, although they weren't from the Thai qualifiers or OCE, but they did push in here pretty dominantly, and they've put up a really good show so far.
They certainly have, as we're going to kickstart the show here tonight for PCS2 APAC. It's technically day 3, match 1. It's also weekend 2. However you want to look at it, we're going to start now. First game, Erangel. For those who aren't fully aware, of course, the format, 2 games of Erangel to be played, followed then by 2 games of Miramar. We'll have the 4 games tonight, and then, of course, 4 more games tomorrow night. And while Edge, usually we have maybe 5 or 6 games played, technically we're going to be playing 24 games over the course of the 3 weekends, rather than the 20 games over 2 weekends. So it's technically 4 extra games, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, the 4 extra games, definitely not a bad thing, especially if you're a team that needs to catch up and needs to make some points. You've got that little bit of a buffer. But for someone like Divine, who's already got a very nice lead, it could hinder them a little bit. It gives teams a chance, but Divine not going to be looking to let other teams get into their heads. not letting teams get into their space and just going to try and play their own game.
I've got to say, I think this might actually be one of my favorite circles that can happen for Erangel, just due to the nature of said circle being very up north. We don't get ganker fields, which, let's be honest, happens a lot. We don't get those really annoying Sosnovka Island circles, which for the players is really bad. But we can get these sort of Roshok River circles where you can get these 50-50 splits, and a lot of things that are very intriguing with how that plays out. Or if it goes really north, we go and visit something like Shooting Range or Severny, some different locations to what we would usually see for the norm, for instance. So I really do like these sort of northern circle that we got here for phase one, see how it plays out. Of course, you don't get many games to get accustomed to the map for the night, in a sense, in terms of warm-up, right? You can't use this game as a warm-up. It's not like there's 6 games of Erangel or even 6 games in general. You use this as a warm-up, then you've only got one more game of Erangel. So you kind of already have to hope you've warmed up coming into this first game and you're ready to go. Division X Gaming going to be looting up towards Severny as we then go to the complete opposite end of the map. Military base Fury have got themselves a distance to traverse.
Yeah, and I believe KT Gaming are currently sharing the military island with Fury. So KT Gaming would be taking the Novo edge of the island, but it is the longest distance to travel, and a lot of teams don't prefer looting on Sosnovka Island purely because you've only got 2 exits. So you've got 2 bridges that you can exit from, and if a team's feeling cheeky, they can just camp you, and it's going to make it rough.
It certainly would. Just a reminder, of course, if you guys want to see the map on twitch.tv/PUBG Esports map, so you can keep an eye on that as we play tonight. MSC Theraton going to be making their way upwards in a quick manner, of course, and with especially these kind of circles when they're very north and everyone else is pretty south or thereabouts, you do need to loot very quickly. You do need to get moving very quickly, try and find the real estate inside of these sort of phase 1, phase 2 circles in a pretty quick manner for that certain degree. Cerberus also already on the move as well, as you can see. So a lot of teams moving early this game edge rather than taking their time.
Yeah, when you've got the circle favor, you want to really make it your priority to get a good position first. You've got that early access in the zone, and you don't want to get stuck on the edge of the zone when you've had the priority there, because you should be taking every advantage possible. As we see Bay potentially setting up a little bit of a camp here onto KT. Flood taking out some shots, putting the player very low right now, but not able to finish that off. The car is a little bit smoky, but Bay won't be able to get anything out of that, as Nezza will just drive away.
Unfortunately for Kaiser Tuna, there's not really many other teams close by on their rotation either, so even though they got taken low, no one's going to be able to finish them off. Levi's, though, we'll find our first elimination this game with the kill onto Basil, and good start for Divine Esports. I know it's only 1 kill, and Levi's is probably going to die here, depending on, of course, how many more can he take with him. 3 members of Cerberus. They're going to molly the room, but he takes no damage, so they're not going to quite get the information they were looking for. The nade is also going to be unsuccessful, and Cerberus do have to be careful here. Whenever you're pushing upstairs, it can always be a scary, scary thought. The Molotov this time is effective. Should very well be able to get this first aid kit off, and Haisaki now watching should know very well where he is located. There is a bit of help, though. The reinforcements have arrived. That's JN pushing in. Haisaki with the hip fire spray. It's going to be successful. Does get the elimination onto Levi's. JN's there as well. Headshot onto Smell. The Divine want to try and get the ramifications, the refrags here onto Cerberus. It's 1-for-1 though at the moment, and if they did want to pull out, wouldn't blame them, but I think for Cerberus there's more to gain here, and there's also more to lose for Divine.
Yeah, that's right. This is great if you're any other team other than Divine right now. They're looking at this and going, okay, we can catch up on some points right now. But what Divine's actually done here is they've put one player in a very, very central position early, and Cerberus has capitalized by sending all their players over. Cerberus does have some members down right now, and Divine's looking to re-push this. The mollies and nades coming out. The res is also coming out onto Haisaki. Divine throwing all of their utility out here, trying to pick up the players. They want to convert their loss of player into a point.
Divine have got already 1 kill, so it's still 1-for-1. Both teams with 3 players alive. Nothing has necessarily changed except that a lot of utility has now been used. Another nade's going to be forced in, and that one nade is going to at least get 2 first aid kits or at least a couple of bandages, depending on what servers have got. Of course, remember this is pretty early on, still into phase 1, so you can't imagine that Cerberus have exactly got a whole lot of med supplies. And the same can be said also for, of course, the utility of Divine. So even whoever wins this, which, if I'm going to be honest, quite likely should be Divine from this position, they're not exactly going to be walking out rich. They're going to be very low on utility, very low on meds. And from there, they haven't really got the best position inside of the circle either.
Yeah, and this is just going real sideways, real fast for Cerberus as the rest of Divine push in and finish it up just like that. Jayend will pick up 2 and Diane will pick up the remaining player onto Smell. So very good turnaround for Divine here, putting 4 more points on the board for themselves, only losing Levi's, but I'd say in the long run that 4 points for one player is definitely worth it, especially in this really early phase.
I said it at the start of the fight, though, that it's definitely going to be more benefit for Cerberus in that fight rather than Divine. If Divine lose that fight, only walking away with 1 point, it just provides the opportunity for the teams directly below them to now catch up already here on just day 3. But now it has the opposite effect, doesn't it? Because Divine walk away with 4 points, courtesy of Cerberus. They now extend that lead up to 24 points above Battle Arena Elites. And Cerberus, who we touched on in the pre-show, continue to just have an awful PCS2 APAC. Can't be said any other way. They're in the bottom 3, and they will remain so at the very least here for day 3, match 1.
Yeah, Divine was very keen on re-breaching the compound. Cerberus, if they had have ended the fight quicker against Levi's, I would expect that Divine would disengage. But because the fight just took so long to finish, Divine were easily able to group up and come in to help support their fallen comrade.
Astra getting a pretty decent circle here as phase 2 will show itself here towards the Severny region of Erangel. Magic Esports also going to start to push in. Divine now going to push out of that compound, look for something a little bit more centralized, see if they can get anything there. There's a bit of a split as well for Division X Gaming, good position for them. And of course, MSC Theraton holding towards the beachfront of Severny. So up north as we look at the PCS2 champion prediction. At one point, this was extraordinarily close, especially the top 2, which if I recall was something like Divine and Fury. And now it's still Divine and Fury, but it's a 40% win margin to 20% rather than both of them being tied at 28%. In saying that, though, it's still actually a pretty high win percentage for a team like Fury, for instance, considering how far behind Divine Esports they actually are. Diane knocked down, Astra close by, as Divine had pushed up towards this bunker region, right in the middle of a 2-2 Astra split.
Yeah, this is definitely not a position Divine wants to find themselves in here. They left quite a quality compound. Maybe it's not going to get the circuit asked for, but it's a holdable position compared to where they are now. Right now, they're kind of in the open there. They've got a couple of trenches to play off, and as you can see, we've got Astra above them who are pestering them right now. So may not have been the best position, but it doesn't look like Astra's going to commit bugging Divine right now.
I don't think it's a horrible position. I think for them, it's more so they're unlucky that Astra have committed. If it was just 4 members of Astra on one of those sides, I don't think it's then as bad for Divine. And unfortunately for Astra, though, they are getting pushed by Kaiser Juna coming down the hill of Stalba, and it's all 4 members up close towards Extreme and Zoidmate. This will be a reprieve as well for Divine Esports. Astra need to somehow come out of this alive, and I'm not sure what the sightline is as well for Nikus and Linksy from their position, if they can actually see towards Extreme and Zoid's position. I imagine that this should be technically unviewable for those two to really cover them unless Extreme and Zoid just push a bit closer.
Yeah, you don't have the sight lines from the compound that Linksy and Nico are holding. And for Zoid and Extreme to be up that close as a 2-man against a potential 4-man, it's pretty dangerous. So Astra making the correct call to fall back into their compound, wait out the circle, and then more than likely group up with Nico and Linksy in the direct center.
Of course, when you have a circle like this, you're going to see more aggressive rotations, more aggressive movement. Just going back to last weekend, things were very slow going, especially the first match of day one. It was probably the slowest PUBG I've seen in a long while. And day two wasn't exactly, a speed fest either. But already here, 12 minutes in, we've had a team eliminated, we've had a breach, we've had a lot of rotations. And I think a lot of it is just courtesy of this circle that we've had. And in 18 seconds time, we're going to get phase 3. And really, when you look at this current circle edge, wherever it goes, I feel like it's going to cause a bit of mischief. If it goes center, it's a very flat terrain. Goes north, of course, it keeps water in. And if it goes south, you got the Yasnai Mountains. So there's really nothing here that's going to necessarily please everyone. Miao with a knockdown onto Jukesy, catching him in the field. And that's not a good start for Fury either, of course, who have set the precedence that they want to finish first and only first. That will be acceptable for them. It's not going to help them tonight.
Yeah, and just looking at the circle here, you have a lot of teams that are going to be looking for a position, and all of your high tier spots right now are occupied. It's going to be a bit of a struggle, especially with these zones around Saverni and Stalba. You get locked out of not having compounds extremely easily, and there's not too much to play around with. But we will see a lot of teams probably look for a breach or just a hut play at this point, just trying to get whatever they can out of this interesting zone.
But it's phase 3 edge, and you're already looking for huts. I mean, that's not ideal at all. But again, you can only do so much with these sort of circles where there's not a lot of large real estate. And as you said, you kind of almost have to just revert to trying to go for huts.
Yeah, it does get like that, especially for this zone. You'll see the potential of Fury here. Maybe they set up shop on the top of the hill and wait out this zone and then see what they can crash, because taking a crash right now is a very big risk. Win it or not, you're going to lose players and potentially not even going to get the next zone. So you're just going to have to wait it out on the edge and see what you can do for the following zone.
But this sort of circle, you can't play edge. In my opinion, I don't think edge is going to work with this sort of circle. You need to do crashes. You need to try and go for center, go for compounds. Look at Buriram going in now. God, meow. Seat swap? No, maybe not. Now he's going to try and get out at the last second. Somehow didn't even actually, thought he would die to the fall. Somehow stayed alive. Edie did get the explosion on himself. Didn't get anyone from Archangel Predator. And ultimately that breach completely unsuccessful from Buriram United Esports. Nordra, the last one alive. But I don't blame their philosophy here, because if you look at this circle, not so much for phase 3 edge, but I'm talking 4, 5, 6. Everything is so open, and the teams coming in from the edge will be sitting ducks. They will be moving targets.
100%. I don't disagree with Buren's decision making.
The execution was poor, though.
The execution was poor. Nordra wasn't able to actually do anything from his overlooked position, but they were breaching an area on the map that was still on the edge. So next circle comes in and they're going to have to move again. They're going to have to do the exact same. So even if they won it, you just lose more and more players each time you have to take these high-risk breaches for something that's not actually an amazing spot.
And of course, the backup plan, I guess, as a solo. Now, in terms of solo play, huts are perfect. Huts are great. But you never really want to send 4 players towards a hut. That's when you're in desperate territory if that's happening. I would say if you've got 4 players alive, utilize that, go for a real breach. Okay, they didn't execute it. It is what it is. But now as the solo, go for the hut. Insight is going to be spotting X Stadium here. Miao Yu knocked down. Insight's forced to go prone. Now Ronan's in a vehicle. Waiki Kamukau's not close. So Insight's in a 1v3. Does fall to the aid of J-Ken, and that's just going to have to force, unfortunately, Ronan to turn back around. Fury down to 2 players. They're not even going to get the kill. It should be a safe res for X Stadium. Now, phase 4, we haven't touched on it, but it actually fed Nordra's hut. Really good position for them. Divine have to move from their bunker, though. And along with them, Astro, KT, those teams as well up towards the northeastern part. There goes Divine, though. And unfortunately, KT moving at the exact same time. Neza, Musate, they get 2. Diana, J-End will meet their end. And only Turtle slowly gets away.
Yeah, and Turtle has to make a last-minute push towards this solo hut, and more than likely KT is going to have to end up in roughly the same area, so might not be the best position for Turtle to sit at right now. But every other team around the top 5, they're going to be looking at this. Divine losing all their players and and knowing that this could be the game that they sort of put themselves up in a playable position.
Of course, though, for Divine, at least they've already picked up a few points. So it's not like they get nothing from this game. They will walk away with something at the very least. And in saying that, the teams below them aren't doing great. We saw Buriram, failed execution, one player left. Fury, nothing's working for them this game, down to 2 players. Daytrade have been really quiet. They're not even inside of the circle. They're up north towards rotating now Severny. And then Bay have now just had a player knocked down in Loki's. Neferhall going for the revive. You can see it in the minimap. Now you can see it on your screens. And a nice little sandwich there with the Dacia and the UAZ to get this revive. But Bay not in a threatening position. We'll see if that can change, though, as the game goes on. Noran's scouting forward, looking for information on this compound that MSC Theraton currently occupy, but it's not even inside of the circle. There are so many teams desperate for anything right now, even a compound not in the circle that will be out in the next minute and 20 seconds. So this is a fight Daytrade have got no choice but to take. Either you take the fight, or you hope that actually MSC get in their vehicles and go more towards the center. We'll see what happens. Zoidmate's going to actually open it up against Daytrade Gaming. Knockdown onto Venotica. Then the quick elimination. Noran's got to try and land a few shots. He can't. It's Yoshi Memuri for MSC Teraton. Boochiels as well was driving in at the same time. And just like Buriram, this breach has failed as well. And for the teams that have played from a more centered position, they are the benefactors here in this game.
Yeah, you've got some really high tier compounds in this circle, like the compound that Astra's holding or that Game Home has. It just areas that you can overlook a lot of this zone, and you should be able to pick up so many kills just from teams struggling to get in on the edge of zone, and that's what we've seen Astra do right now. They're going to try and capitalize on Daytrade, on VTR, on MSC. Any misstep they make trying to get into this next zone, they're going to be there to capitalize on it. And they're going to need to catch up some points here, because Astra is still a solid 50 points away from catching up to Divine. So a long way to go, but this could be a good game for them.
Yeah, good start potential. And as you said, sort of the road towards first place, the road towards Divine. And all it takes is really just one good game. You know, if you can finish off with 10 kills and a win, that's 20 points. And suddenly 50 points is then just 30 points with quite a hefty amount of games still remaining. It puts you right back in the thing of things. But of course, you still got to sort of finish everything off. As Turtle, well, Kaiser Judo are going to try and finish him off inside of the shack using a lot of Molotovs and nades as well. Now, Turtle, if he can get this smoke to plume, might just be able to creep out and play a few mind games with Kaiser Juno, who are using so much utility for just one player. They don't even get... Have they even landed a single nade inside of this shack right now?
I don't think so, and I'm surprised that Kaiser Tuna has any ammo with how many nades they've thrown right now. Their pockets must be absolutely full to the brim. But Turtle, very lucky to survive here. Kaiser Tuna will be very disappointed that they didn't get anything out this. But
you think?
Yeah, very disappointed.
They just threw every Molotov and every nade, and they couldn't even get it inside of the shack. Turtle stays alive inside of the circle, and Kaiser Tuna probably just sweating a little bit now. And if they can somehow move forward, everyone, we'll get back to that later. MSC just crashing in onto Astra. Yoshi Mimburi knocked down immediately by Lynxy. And just prior to that, Extreme had got Rosseted and now Vega God. They're all gone. Astra wipe out MSC Theraton. I hold that position up north, and Astra looking good for OCE.
Yeah, that's a good start for Astra there. But one thing you may not have noticed is that there was a sneaky Zoid mate outside of the compound, actually, and is now starting to put pressure towards VTR. We do see a little bit of a breach here coming out from Archangel Predator as Nordra holds them off successfully, picking up CJ and Momonji. Good counter hold for him for now.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so far just been the game of throws more than anything. No team has been able to really push in and execute these breaches. Division X Gaming going to try their luck now as Long K Knight now just pushing in towards Nordra's little hut. There's still a bit of smoke available too.
That was an interesting
nade. Did that just go through one window and out the other window, completely avoiding Nordra? That one goes in. Nordra, though, realizing that, waiting for it to explode, then goes back into the hut. Smoke's still up. He's got 6 of them. I'm not sure why he's not throwing out a whole bunch of them. Just get them all out. Try and play the mind games with the smoke. Gets flashed. Unfortunately, not even inside of the smoke. And that's going to be an easy execution for Division X Gaming. Buriram will go out in 10th position. We're down to 9 teams remaining. 35 alive in what's been a massacre game one for day 3. Look at that circle as well, Edge. 5 seconds until phase 4. Who will this circle favor? If it goes up north, those teams down south are in trouble. It's going to favor Magic Esports, and Astra pushed in. Now it's a bit of a 3-way party up north. Victim Rise, Game Home, Astra, Extreme, Zoid both knocked down, and Nikus and Lynxy stayed behind. Astra, their good game suddenly potentially coming towards a quick end. Battle Arena Elites trying to get involved as well. Sophia gets the elimination onto Mando from the future. And Flood is knocked down, and Sophia is also very low. That nade will get the confirmed knock though from Defiant. Then sits down Nephahor as well, thanks to Tene from the future. Taking it right up to Battle Arena Elites, and they've just sent them packing. Quick annihilation. And we're down to the final 8 teams.
Yeah, that's definitely not how you wanted to have your opening game for Bay. They weren't even able to catch up their 2 points that they were deducted. So still a little bit of a way left for them to catch up to Divine. And we have seen our top 5 teams actually all dead right now. So there's going to be no closing the gap on Divine for now. We do see 6th to 10th still in this right now, and this is their opportunity to make a play. As we do see DXG Division X pulling up at this single hut against XS, and it's a bit interesting right now as everyone's just sitting around in smokes, getting shot at by Magic Gaming, who are direct center. Long K does pick up Hong Yu, and XS is wiped out by the Molotov of Nye.
Well, speaking of wiped out, Game Home going to be wiped out inside of the warehouse. 6 teams left. Rise picking up the 3K there. So we look at the rankings now. And Division X Gaming move into the top 5. Astra in 7th with Victor Rise just below them. Magic Esports, though, the team at the very bottom on 19 points with still 4 players alive in that compound, just the right-hand side of the screen. May look to jump above Archangel Predator here. It's from the future in the dossier, where you're sending it from one side of the circle to practically the other side. Lynxy's going to get run over here. Unfortunately, oncoming traffic is hard to escape from when you're on your knees, already knocked down. Was that what?
I think that was a rogue teammate coming through, breaking down the hut there.
I don't know what's going on this game, Edge, but I love it. I love to see it. Niku's still alive for Astra. For the OCU fans, you can see it on the minimap. Holding on just barely. This game's had just about everything, and yet I still have no idea who's going to win it. Magic Esports, though, from that position, should probably be winning this game.
Yeah, that's right. Magic Esports or KT should really have the advantage here. KT Kaiser Tuna has a really nice defilade that they can play, blocking all the vision from Magic Gaming, and if they can push along that, they should be good. But this zone does definitely not favor them, and it doesn't favor VTR or Astra as well.
Division X Gaming looking pretty nice here for this sort of phase 7 circle right now. From the future are now gone in 6th position, down to 5 teams remaining. So the Moy is going to be eliminated by MBK of Division X Gaming, who have got 4 players alive, Edge. Kaiser Tuna have got 4, and Magic Esports have got 4 as well. 1 up for Astra, and now 2 up for Victim Rise. That's the story of the tape right now for game 1 of the night. And this sort of sets the tone for what this night's going to bring. I'm excited because this has had, again, similar to last weekend, just a bit of everything. And it's time for the phase 7 blue zone to move. It's also time for Kaiser Tuna to get a move on, see what they can find. Now, they've got numbers. They've got 4 players still left alive. So they're going to go for the broken down hut that has already seen quite a lot of action. But, of course, just the Victim Rise can see them. Division X Gaming will be able to land a few shots. Magic Esports, too. So all it's doing now is putting you in a good position for the circle. You've got no choice but to do that. But you are going to be sitting ducks for Division X and Magic Esports.
Yeah, that's right. And Kaiser Tuna making a really good play to take that hut before Victim Rise can get there, and using the already standing vehicles as cover. As we do see Victim Rise starting to take a drive. Gen Foss gets taken out by Bot Bass from Kaiser Tuna, and we're all left up to Chibrit for Victim Rise right now, as we see a cheeky little Nico sitting around the smokes trying to make his way into the zone. He doesn't have anything to play and has a long way to go to get even remotely close to Kaiser Tuna right now. So it'll be interesting.
He's just playing for placement points, so this is a smart play from Niku's. And it's going to work out at the very least. Now against Astra into the top 4, as Shiburit's going to be eliminated by Nialty? I don't know. I haven't say that one. Valix over the knockdown into Style G. Nade is decent from Nico. That was sort of a final prayer. Nade, though, considering he's at a 1v3. And that's just going to sit him down. Did get the knockdown into Bot Pass, which sort of is unideal for Kaiser Jr., but they can easily recover from this situation. No surprise, though, the final 3 teams remaining Edge with 4, 3, and, well, technically 4 alive. Kaiser Jr. just still getting these revives off.
We do see Magic Gaming were trying to make a bit of a preemptive move to centralize a little bit up there, and was taken out by Division X. But Magic Gaming, who has brought themselves up from the direct bottom of the scoreboard, has to make a big move now, and they've got a rock. I'm not sure if it's a very good rock. As the nade comes in, will do some damage, and the shot comes out from NBK. So the one rock in the zone that they have to play is definitely not doing them any favors right now.
I think this is going to be Division X Gaming's win from this position based on the available vision that we can see with the current Phase 8 circle. It's nothing but open territory. And this goes back to what I sort of mentioned all the way back at Phase 3 Edge when I said this sort of circle, the terrain around here, there's just not enough cover that you can sort of duck and weave between. You're just going to be seen from a mile away. And it's kind of sort of personified here now with this Phase 8 circle. The likes of Kaiser Jr., Magic Esports, as they're eliminated, you can't do anything. How do you get close? How do you even deal with this? It comes down to the fact that Division X Gaming didn't have to move. If it was, say, a circle that shifted onto Magic Esports' compound, we would have been seeing it in the other direction, that Magic Esports would have been the beneficiaries. They would have been mowing everyone down to finish off and get the win. But such is PUBG, of course, the nature of RNG. Division X Gaming going to claim this win, and it's a mighty big one as well, Edge, because now they are going to be firmly in the top 3, potentially even second. They might even be tied for second as well. 12 kills. Division X Gaming take home chicken dinner #1 for the night.
Absolutely great game there from Division X Gaming. They did a lot of work. They didn't have position, and they breached one hut. They cleaned out the member in there, which was the last player from Buran, and then they pushed on to the next hut against XS and wiped them out. So it was absolutely magical work for them to be able to clean up those huts and still keep 4 players alive.
Yeah, extraordinary play for Division X Gaming. It's not as if they were in a massively superior position from the get-go as well. Had to work very hard that game, so a well-earned win for them. And as I said, puts them in the top 2, top 3 sort of predicament now, and they are well and truly within striking distance as well against Divine Esports. You can't count them out whatsoever. So they're right in it now, and I guess that sort of goes to show, Edge, that one really good game, a 12 kill win, for instance, and you can find yourself back in the race. For
sure. And that game just there, it actually ties them up with Bay. So putting them onto 73 points apiece, and you know, Bay could have been still 2 points ahead if they didn't get the deduction there. So,
well, this is the thing. Actually, I mentioned sort of it can affect Bay in terms of first place. It very well easily could affect them for second or third place. So you bring up a very valid point there. The other thing as well, I think they've got the kill points though still for Battle Arena Elite. So at the very least, they are technically still in second place regardless. But for Division X Gaming, what a way to start the weekend. Ironically, they actually started the first weekend with a win as well. It was the only win that they've had so far. Now they've got 2, Edge. It's a bit of a sign for them that they start well, but can they keep it up? That's the question.
Yeah, that's right. And this makes it a little bit more scary for Divine as well. You've got so many teams just at that point where all it takes is one game and they've evened it up. They can quite easily take it over, and that's where it gets rough for Divine. Holding a lead is much harder than grinding it up. So, you know, it's getting to that point where it's going to be difficult for Divine if they can't keep winning.
Yeah, there may have been a few of you who maybe weren't here for the pre-show. Just going to give another quick brief. Probably the last time I'll touch on it, but for those who missed it, Battle Arena Elites were deducted 2 points earlier this evening due to a player misconduct towards officiator. So they lose 2 points. And obviously they went from 74 to 72. They got 1 point in that game though, so they got one back edge. That's I guess something towards redeeming themselves. Division X Gaming though, 22 points in total that game. Kaiser Tuna for their sake as well, sort of gets them back towards the middle of the pack as well with that performance. Magic Esports have technically got themselves off the bottom of the standings too, with their 9 total points, tied with Archangel Predator. And I think, if I'm going to be truthfully honest, it's a matter of who's going to finish last between those two.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't look good for them right now, and Cerberus is right there as well. So Cerberus, I would have thought that they'd have a better game this one from how they started, getting that pick off onto Divine, but the counter breach from Divine just showed way too strong for Cerberus to hold out.
And of course, down the bottom end, though, the teams that got 0 points, Daytrade, Fury, these are teams that are supposed to be keeping Divine Esports honest to edge, and it's not the way you want to start things. Even the team directly bumped them, of course, Battle Arena Elites, right? So for Divine Esports, who picked up 4 points, the 3 teams directly below them, Bay, Daytrade, Fury, basically nothing. They extended their lead more than anything. So really disappointing for them. And of course, Cerberus Esports, what a story this has been. They have severely struggled, Edge. It's not been pretty. Look at their kills: 1 0 4 4 6 1 1 3 1. They're not getting kills. They've had a couple of decent placings, 6-5 for instance. Nothing over in the top 4 though, for that matter. So they're not really surviving, and they're not really getting kills. And it's no wonder they're in the bottom 3. It's just not been a good tournament for them. And when you have high expectations, you kind of got to meet at least some of those.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Cerberus's problem is here. Obviously, they're not being able to place or get kills, but coming into this, they were looking so promising. But I mean, they've still got time to turn it around, to give themselves a good showing. Maybe they probably aren't anywhere near winning or a top 3 position, but they can definitely make it into that top 8. And I think for themselves, that'll definitely be what they'll be looking for here.
There is the total leaderboard so far as it stands. 3 more games until the halfway mark. And as I usually like to say, around that halfway mark, you kind of see where first place is at. And if you want, you can kind of just like double their score. And that's just about sort of the benchmark, right? For then the next 12 games and what you then need to meet. Gives you a bit more of an idea as potentially what you might need. Here's, of course, the top 5 damage, though, from the first game that we just saw before. No surprise to see Kaiser Tuna around there, and, of course, Division X Gaming. So those teams obviously really happy with the way they started tonight, especially the way that Kaiser Tuna played it from the get-go. A lot of moving around, a lot of fights that they were taking. Liked what I saw from them. And the same as well for Division X Gaming. I think you saw it in that game in particular. The teams who were the ones wanting to take it on without rushing it, without making blind and silly plays, were rewarded in what was a game where a lot of breaches happened and yet were executed quite poorly.
Yeah, that's right. And Kaiser Tuna, they came from a long way. They looted Military Island, Novo, so they made a really good play to put themselves into a spot to pick up a lot of kills there. So, and that put them into just outside of the top 8. So they're sitting in 9th currently, but it's not far away at all from that top 8 spot.
You can see sort of there that phase 6 circle as it was, and how it was a bit of a split between Magic Esport and Division X Gaming. There's the black going through as well. How amazing was that game in terms of the theatrics? But at the end of the day, it's pop. In another universe, it's Magic Esports who get the feed, and Division X have to cross this very open terrain towards them. It would have been Division X going for the rock, for instance, and I think you probably know what the outcome would have been. It would have been a Magic Esports win, but such is PUBG, I guess.
Yeah, and PUBG is all about how you handle what is thrown at you, and in this case, Division X was the one who handled it the best and took it all the way to the end. So big hats off to them.
Yeah, without doubt, big hats off to them. We'll see if they can keep it up. I mean, I mentioned at Edge that one of the things that we need to see from Division X Gaming is consistency. They started very, very well over the course of the first weekend, just teetered off a little bit. We'll see, of course, though, if they can keep it up. And that's what I want to see from them. And to see them, along with Bay, along with Fury, and along with Day Trade, Buram, these teams in the top 6, keep that pressure on Divine. Okay, so if they can do that, I think that we'll see Divine potentially crumble a little bit, or we'll see them get the, kick up the bum and just sort of work things out. Because again, from Divine, it wasn't really the most amazing first game either. We're going to go to a break. On the other side, though, it's going to be game number 2. Erangel once again. Well, game one was certainly a wild ride in what is our second weekend for PCS2 APAC, of course. So we hope it's going to be more of the same. Coming up very shortly, we're going to have our second game of Erangel very, very soon, hopefully. But Edge, as I said, game one, it had, again, just about everything. APAC continues to show.
Yeah, that's right. APAC's definitely a wild ride. It is. It's interesting. Teams have a lot of a different play style compared to other regions. A lot more aggressive, not necessarily the right aggression you want to see, but it is aggression.
Hmm.
And they don't care who's in front of them. They don't care. They take what they need, and they live or die. So they just do whatever happens in the moment.
Well, you can hear the music, you can see the splash screen. It means we're heading into game number 2 already, as quick as that, which is always a really good thing. This is going to be, of course, so our final game of Erangel for the night. After this, we'll have 2 matches of Miramar. So it kind of feels like we're almost at the halfway mark already, and feels like we just started. Points per map, Erangel Bay at one point edge with something like 20 to 40 points on Erangel. That's now dropped down to 12.6. They've had a couple of quiet games on Erangel since their opening bonanza on the first night, where they picked up something like 41 points over 2 games on Erangel, and it hasn't really been the same since then for them. They have dropped off slightly since that night.
They have had some good Erangel games, but yeah, you can't keep that consistency of having 42 points over 2 games. It's just not sustainable. So Bay will be looking for this Erangel. They want to have a good showing before they go back into Miramar. They have picked it up on Miramar, but you just need to have a little bit of consistency among your 2 maps. The kicker here, though, is that we do see a bit of a western shift where Bay is going to have to take a journey through what seems to be a lot of teams, but they're gonna push forward.
I think a lot of teams are going to have to journey through. A lot of teams here judging this circle for phase 1. A lot of teams more so towards the eastern side of Erangel. We've still got Fury down on military base on Northcott Island. X Stadium will be probably able to loot around Ferry Pier, Lighthouse region. There is Fury there. Probably going to have an easier time in terms of rotations. They were one of the teams that really in game 1 super unlucky with the sort of circle that they had to try and play, because they were never ever going to get center position unless they breached phase 2, and it's just usually not that much of their play style. So they tried to play edge, didn't work out, they got caught, and it was probably just the sort of game where you don't even really get to do anything, you just get picked apart. And it was probably like that for quite a few teams that were unfortunately stranded on the edge of the phase 3 circle, phase 4 circle.
That's right. Fury's rotations, basically every new move that they had to make, they ended up losing a player until they had 2 players left, separated from each other, and they just eventually got found and taken out of the game. So it wasn't the consistent Fury that we normally see. So they'll definitely be looking to come back into this Erangel here with a big splash.
And of course, as we saw the circle for phase 1, we're going over to the western side of Erangel. Gaka Field's going to be likely the area we do traverse, unless we see like a very hard north shift for phase 2, which can then change our path more towards Georgia Paul. I'm fine with either one, to be honest. And, we've had at least something a bit different tonight rather than back-to-back Gaka Fields, which can sometimes be the case. There's the standings. Bay, Division X Gaming, tied on 73 points apiece. I think our camera operator there just got a bit spooked by J-End firing off a few shots. I wanted to have a look around. It's safe. There's no one there. Don't worry. Poochill's looting comfortably over at Mansion. And, well, of course, when you have a circle like this one as well, Edge, it's going to be slower going in terms of rotations compared to the last game, where by now everyone was rotating. No one's really rotating at the moment.
Yeah, I think on this kind of circle, there's a lot to play. You've got a lot of compounds, and the biggest variable here is whether it goes north or south. Majority of your teams will gamble on the south, being it is the higher percent. But as you can see in the south side, you've got so many compounds you can take from Gatka all the way to South Georgia Pole. So there's not too much of a rush to try and get that high quality compound to play off.
I think Everest is a pretty decent position to go for here early on into phase one. It's very centralized. Sometimes you see this sort of circle, but a bit more south, and teams still elect to go up towards Everest. It's a good place to go, get a good vantage point, and have a position inside of the circle. But even more so, I think for this current circle, I wouldn't mind seeing a team push there early and try and get that sort of position. And really, if you do then get Everest, you're playing essentially both sides, the north and the south, really. But you're always going to have that thing in the back of your mind. If you can get the compounds just south of Everest around the Gatka Fields, you're probably going to be better situated, because if it does go north, there's not usually that many teams that commit north. So you should then be able to get a quick rotate up to the north. So, uh, yeah, probably compounds first. And if they're taken, then Everest maybe.
Yeah, Everest is a really good first, second zone area to take. If you've got your team up there, you can have you can be really proactive and get good scouting off to see what's free for the next circles. But the problem with Everest is that it can hold so many teams, and that's why it's generally the team who's holding it first at the end of the game. If it's getting the circles, it becomes really difficult because you're getting pushed on all edges. But first and second circle isn't too bad because generally you won't get contested on your end of Everest.
Divine are just being bullies, waiting for the nerds to come out of school. They're just putting a few shots towards from the future. Nice knockdown into Defiant. Does get revived, and really all it does is you're just trading bullets for meds, really, and that's always the trade you want to take if you're in Divine's position. In saying that, though, I mean, you've got what, another 2 minutes till phase two. Divine sort of mucking around at school. Is it just simply because they feel like they're going to be coming in too late to really get any good real estate? So I guess play the bully here.
I think for the second circle, because it can do anything, there's really not too much pressure on taking a position straight away in the center. So Divine probably quite comfortable with where they are right now, and knowing that they have early access to the likes of the Roshok Watertown Bridge if it does go north, and even now they can still just drive south into Gatka Fields and quite easily pick up a compound that's been left alone.
Following along the tooting God Meow with Buriram United Esports. Disappointing in that first game. It's not usually their playstyle, though, breaching. They are a team that also likes to play edge. And I think that was also, I probably have already said it, but noticeable that the teams that typically like to play edge in that last game, man, that circle really just outdid them more than anything. And it kind of showed a few of their flaws and weaknesses that can the likes of Fury really breach? Can Buriram breach? And we kind of saw the answer to that, where now this kind of circle, this is the kind of circle play edge. You can hold a position, like you can hold this sort of position here on the edge of the circle. And who's going to really see you? No one.
Yeah, that's right. No one's going to be looking around this area unless they're also coming in late. And if you're set up around that spot as well, you get the advantage. You potentially get 1 or 2 kills on the rotating members. But from these edges here, you've got so much to play off. You've got so many different hills, so many different compounds you can come into late, and you get so much vision as well.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. As we're going to get our phase 2 circle, and it will be central, right on top of Everest. Still a bit of the Roshok River in play. It may have some impact if we go north with the phase 3 circle, but then if that then happens, then we kind of know where phase 4 is going to go, which would actually then be an Everest finish, like guaranteed. If we go north for phase 3, we should have essentially an Everest finish. I haven't had one of those in a very long time, like a hardcore Everest finish, which they can be pretty chaotic because there's really not much you can do. If you're a team that's on Everest already, congratulations, you Probably going to rack up quite a few kills and survive for a long while. Really, though, so if that happens, north, it's going to go Everest. If it goes center, it's probably going to go Everest. If it goes south, then you're going to get chopsticks. So you kind of can, with this sort of circle, get into the minds of the player's edge, right? And that's the way that they would probably look at it and narrow it down as to where they want to go. It's why we are seeing so many teams already going Everest. 2 out of 3 chance, pretty likely.
Yeah, that's right. Teams are starting to split up right now. So they've got from 1 to 2 players on Everest, and then 2 players back down in a safe compound. But we actually do see excess takeout Ronin from Fury right now, and breach the compound that Fury was falling back to. So Insight not in a good spot, and Waikikamuka and Juxi nowhere near right now. So Fury's going to have to back off now if they want to keep their players alive.
10.5 minutes gone here, and only the 2 deaths. It's totally different to what we saw in the previous game, but I expect that to change very soon. I know we're only into phase 2 anyway, with another minute and 40 seconds, but I do kind of sense that this will be a south shift. Typically, Gaka Fields, for whatever reason, always feels like it's favored. So if you're like game home, I think Astra's in a great spot with their 2-2 split, right? They've got the compounds to the east of Everest, but they've also got Lynxie and Zoid on Everest as well. So they're one of the better off teams as well. Whereas you look at a team like Fury, they're really banking on the south shift here. If it goes north or if it goes on to Everest and they're coming in late, I think they're going to get punished. But Cerberus, another team that I think really well positioned, and obviously MSC Theraton on top of Everest, they're fully committed to that with all 4 members. The other side of the coin, though, Edge, is coming down from Everest. If it does go south, that's also very tricky for those teams.
Yeah, and if you're a team like Cerberus or Astra right now and you've got 1 or 2 players up on the hill, you really need to have those players ready to just leave if you have like any show of force from the top of Everest, because you don't want to be losing players early for something with such little to gain.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be our first play of match number 2 of day 3. Buriram versus Victim Rise. Buriram were the breachers in game number 1. They are going to be the breached in game number 2. Edie headshot. That's the welcoming surprise for Genfos, the nade as well to follow. But it's Insight who will get the knockdown, and then God News the one who gets the kill. How's that? You just got 3-way tag teamed.
Yeah, a bit of a musical chairs there on the damage and the knocks, as Nordra will pick up Chibrit. So good start for Buriram. VTR's down already to 2 players, so
phase 3,
big advantage right now, as they do get the circle as well. So if Buriram wins this fight, they're in a very strong circle to finish out this game potentially.
Well, it's pretty much confirms it's necessarily may not be a chopsticks finish, but just thereabouts. And it's also going to be very ideal for Fury and Buriram. Of course, phase 3 Edge, there is no factor in where the circle goes. It could have easily gone hard north, onto George Ball, onto Everest, onto Ruins. This is very much just a hard south shift to move away. Is going to be eliminated here very soon, standing on top of the bed to avoid the Molotov. Physics are great. We love them in PUBG. As, of course, the bed not just sort of exploding into flames, but that's all right. Kamal's now... the floor is lava. The lava's gone. Now it gets moving. Kanatsi just going to try and throw another Molotov in, but once again, just standing up and above is Kamal's and will avoid the Molotov. And has done pretty well right now playing the floor is lava.
Yeah, that's right. And don't try that at home, kids. Beds are very flammable, so standing on top of them not the way to escape a fire. And Buriram's used a lot of utility here to try and clean out camels and hasn't been successful yet, so hopefully that doesn't bite them in the backside later on in the game when they might have need those mollies or nades.
Division X Gaming just hanging around the west part of this circle. Not bad for them because they can play sort of the edge play and come in, clean up kills. Of course, though, the longer this goes on, there may be a situation where they have to force themselves towards Fury. Fury at a really good spot here this game, feeling that they can gain a lot from it. They can gain kills, they can gain placement points. I don't know about the teams up north. Teams around Everest, I think things are going to get really difficult for them. Look at Battle Arena Elites slowly creeping on in like ninjas towards Buriram, who are still so concerned as well about Kamal's nice headshot from Sophia. Talk about a double headshot onto Nordra. Sits him down in the window. Now going for the nade. Don't really get to follow that. I don't think it made it in. Or may have. Not sure. Didn't get the elimination though regardless. And Nordra should be able to get revived by Edie. Now, Bay have probably got to be a bit quicker here. I know Neferhor's still back at the other compound. Loki's flood. It just seems like there's some indecision with Bay, and they're going to get punished for this. God Meow will catch Sophia. Buriram were like, all right, they're here. They're fighting. The nade, not ideal. But they were ready to pounce. They were ready to fight back. But Bay were just caught in two minds. Do they stay? Do they push up? They did nothing.
Yeah, and that's definitely not how you want to be for this sort of a fight. They've split it up, and they're not fighting. They're not fighting. They're just doing nothing, and that's where Buran sort of capitalized for now, as Levi's actually picks up the kill onto Sophia. So definitely not how Bay expected this one to go.
You've kind of got to commit to that. If Sophia gets a knock on that compound's in a better spot than your compound. You've now got a 4v3 advantage that you'd know of. It's just the way you kind of got to look at it. I think they were too concerned with the compound that they had, and now the compound that they do have is now is inferior as well to this one. Buriram don't even get the kill though. In fact, they're still on 0 despite everything, and they still haven't even got Kamal's. Divine Esports stole that kill on Sophia. Now they make their way towards Chopsticks. Essentially, that's the only place that you really can go. Astra had only just got there on the northern tip of it as well. And we've also got Day Trade inside one of the Chopsticks too, and that's now Divine rotating into it. And what are they going to do? Just try and run them over. He gets one. Flash is gone. Poochils as well. That's how you execute a breach. Run over everybody, shoot everybody, but MSC Theraton are waiting there as well. Where did they pop up from? Diane, Levi's Turtle, all knocked down. And Divine Esports have suddenly gone out in second and last place. They get nothing really in the end besides a couple of kills. They do move up and crack triple digits edge, but they're gone. And MSC Theraton shortly follow as well after that. And Day Trade now send back Norins and Venotica and claim what was once rightfully theirs.
Yeah, so another chaotic sort of scenario for APAC PCS yet again, as we see Archangel Predator's last player unintentionally breached the middle of Chopsticks. So it's gone from a reasonably interesting game to a very interesting game very quickly.
A very similar game, I guess, for Divine, right? They went out in 11th in the previous game, and now they go in 15th, but they did have at least 6 kills gained in pretty quick time, right? In the first 17 minutes of the game, you've got 6 kills, and then all 4 of you go out pretty quickly. So they can't quite capitalize to the fullest extent, but they're still getting points. Not only that, but the teams directly below them are not getting points, right? It's the middle pack teams. It's the teams down the bottom that are doing well so far here on day 3. So despite Divine not really fully capitalizing, they're not getting punished. It's up to the likes of Fury now to win these sort of fights against Cerberus, stop the rot, and try and begin the climb towards catching up to Divine. They've lost Ronin, they've only got 3. And Cerberus, of course, they're looking for a turnaround themselves. They're looking to improve and get out of the bottom 3.
Yeah, that's right. And Cow opened this breach up really well, getting an initial knock. I'm not sure if he got the flush as well. It does look like Cerberus is down a player, but it's a kind of interesting fight here. And this is a fight we see quite often, as Gatka's one of those areas that's super easy to breach because it's hard for a 3 or a 4 man to hold the entirety of the compound. So Cerberus has definitely capitalized here, and XS is actually backfilled into their position on the north. So Cerberus not really getting too much out of this other than a central area to play.
So 3v3 between Fury and Cerberus, so there's no real disadvantage for either team. They are going to get the feed as well for phase 5. One of the Chopsticks is still in. It's actually the one that has got essentially 4 teams around it, either inside of it or just outside of it up the northern end. Astra still playing from their current position, are going to have a couple of teams coming in towards them. Buram, Game Home. Unless they go for the long wrap. Bay are actually going for the long wrap, as you can see on the map. They're going to be coming in behind Magic Esports. Daytrade are in front of Magic Esports, and Flood has just been absolutely cannoned off that bike by Syllabi. Headshot into the knockdown, almost got run over by his own teammates. It's not been a good night for Flood so far. Loki's Nephahor. Can Bay turn it around here? Loki's his flash, but he can at least move position, stay alive for now. Needs a bit of help. K is probably going to be revived if they finish off Loki's. They will, unless Nephahor can somehow get him from here. I don't think he can with that nade. As the kill feed suggests that Astra doing well in that position up to the northern end, although Lynxy, Niku's both knocked down. We're seeing Extreme very low, trying to get off the first aid kit. Buram making the push. They've still got 3 players alive. Nordra, Edie, Kanaxi, keeping the pressure right on along with that Game Home. Look how close God knew is. He's literally right on top of Astra. They're going for the revive. I don't think you have time for that. Lynxy, Extreme knocked down. Zoid's the last one, and now he's no more. God knew has infiltrated Astra. 4K annihilation from God knew of Game Home. Now he has to turn his attention pretty quickly to Buram United Esports. No time to celebrate for Game Home. Still a lot of work to do, and it was quickly shut down by Edie and God Meow combined. 2 kills for Buram. Something else still up for Game Home, but he's the last one alive, and the rest of his team have fallen by the wayside as we turn our attention back over to X Stadium, Cerberus and Fury at this compound. Never mind, XS are gone.
Cerberus have just wiped XS off the map as fast as you can. The breaches that we've seen right now have been so hard and fast on every single level here. It's hard to keep up with. We do have a little bit of a lull at the moment, as most of the breaches have finished. We do still see Fury and Cerberus fighting it out for the main Gatka compound, but teams like Buran and Division X have safely made their way into the zone and got some nice positions for now. But it is going to get a bit more interesting in the following circles, where we do see most compounds starting to get forced out, and it's going to become playing hay bales and car forts.
Do Division X Gaming get fed again? They're up to 77 points now, Edge, and with Divine out, this could be even more similar. Never mind, they don't get fed. Fury are still in. Buram as well still in, and something else doesn't really have to crawl very far. Noren's compound is in, so Veronica can quickly just move over to here. So Daytrade looking okay. Magic Esports, I guess, he just moved to the top of this chopstick that's still in. So it's really only Kaiser Tuna and Division X Gaming that are hard pressed from this. And Division X, I can already see it. They're going to push this compound, aren't they? Right onto Cerberus and Fury.
Yeah, that'd be the play for them. That's really the only play they can make here. Division X needs to decide what they need to do, and now might be the time with Jukesy actually getting knocked by Basil. So this might be the go time. Cow is going for the res, and Division X can see that, and they get the next knock as well onto Waikikamu. So this is 100% the go time, and Cerberus is starting to push closer to inside as well.
Not just for Division X, but also for Cerberus. They smell blood in the water, quite literally. Smell making his way over now to the compound of Insight. Speaking of making their way over to a compound, it's Kaiser Tuna now breaching the 2-man job for Daytrade Gaming. Veronica quickly just swatted aside by Bot Bass. Cow has been eliminated. I suspect Jukesy will also fall very, very soon, as Division X Gaming did make their push over to the compound. And Insight is the last one alive for Fury. So despite the positional advantage that Fury had, nothing really gained from it. Very unfortunate situation for them. And I think for them, it's also just a matter of time before Insight gets swatted out the roof, and he does. 8th place for Fury. Again, though, Cerberus cannot rest on their laurels, Edge. Now Division X have rocked up, and they're hungry. It's like a different Division X tonight. They're looking to catch right up to Divine. And another big win here. They certainly will do that, as Daytrade finally eliminated.
Yeah, Kaiser Tuna, another team who took that breach onto Daytrade. They got the opening knock and they capitalized and went for the breach. And we do see Cerberus now, their tails between their legs, trying to hold off a very, very vicious Division X Gaming, who, if they pick up all the kills onto Cerberus and can take this into a win, is going to put them in a very, very strong spot up against Divine here.
30 seconds until phase 7. There has been a bit of an armistice between these two teams. Division X Gaming, Cerberus haven't really got involved with each other yet. Division X do have the advantage here. 4 versus 3. Buriram Ram has still got 4 up. Kaiser Judah with 4 up. In fact, everyone's either got 4 or 3 players alive. So even though there's 5 teams, there's 18 alive. Like, this is a very healthy lobby that is remaining. As we go into phase 7, though, it's not really going to do any favors for any team besides Cerberus. And even then, Edge, it's not really like a hard feed on Cerberus either. They don't have to worry about the circle, and I guess to a degree, Division X don't have to worry either. It's really now up to what happens between Buriram, Magic Esports, and Kaiser Tuna. Only one of them is really going to be able to push into the circle and contest the winner of this fight between Division X and Cerberus.
Yeah, that's right, and whoever controls this triple story into the next zone will really be able to farm kills on everyone in the field. If you look at the circle, there's nothing in the middle. You've got a couple of hay bales, a couple of bushes, and then you've got nothing else to play. So it gets to the point where, do you just call this game a win for Division X or Cerberus, whoever wins this fight? Is this just their game?
Might not be as simple as that, though, depending on sort of what happens in the fight to come. There may only be one survivor left standing. Who knows usually how this works out. Smell does actually get the Molotov knockdown onto Neil. 4 kills for Division X so far. The gap is down to just 22 points between them and Divine. And with 5 teams still remaining, I mean, if Division X go and get another 6 kills and a win, very big opportunity for them to make that something like only a 10-point gap, for instance. As we look over towards Buriram and Magic Esports, look at the amount of smokes that have been utilized on the field. Flash onto Edie, but Canaxi combined with Edie will get Tong K knocked down for Magic Esports. The team's second last, trying to push on to Buriram. And Bureau have got the numbers. It seems like Magic Esports, though, just falling by the wayside quite rapidly. One's running around on fire, the other one's prone, the other one's dead. They're all gone now. Magic Esports got up in smoke, almost quite literally. And speaking of smoke, Division X Gaming trying to push onto the building of Cerberus. They got 1, so it's only 2 remaining for Cerberus. The team's third last edge. One of the considered favorites coming into PCS2 APAC, going up against the team that certainly now can be considered one of the favorites.
Yeah, that's right. And Division X are doing work right now. But Fergus does get flushed out here. Niles is taken out as well. Long K takes out Smell. Basil takes out Long K. So NBK versus Basil right now. They're going to try and get Nile back up now, but Basil's starting to make a push. NBK sees it. Still sticks the res. Basil looking for that angle. Throws the flash in. Flash comes out. Will pull NBK off the res, and Basil picks it up. So Basil will be able to...
The revive. Go get Smell. Go get Smell. Don't let him bleed out. Oh my god, he let him bleed out. Oh no. Could have easily had 2 left alive, and boy, did I cast a curse that one. Did I not say Edge? There's a real possibility only 1 would be alive at the end of that, and there is only 1 alive at the end of all of that. Now it kind of feels like the win is going to come from either Buriram or Kaiser Tudor, and well, I'd put my money on Buriram from this position. 4 players up. Godmeow's been able to get a position inside the now phase 8 circle. Basil is the solo for Cerberus. And there's 3 up for Kaiser Tuna. The good news, though, for Cerberus Edge, they're out of the bottom 3. They're out of the bottom 4. They're into 12th now, tied with From the Future. And they've got themselves a platform they can build off and look towards getting into the top 10.
Yeah, that's right. It's not too bad for them. It's not far to go from here anyway. But you do still have the likes of your Kaiser Tuna and your Buram alive. So they're going to be pushing a couple more points coming into the end of this game, and Buriram's looking for a position to play right now. They do have the Dacier in play. They've got a couple of hay bales. Damage coming out onto Kaiser Tuna. And Buriram's looking very favourable right now with having 4 alive. Kaiser Tuna a little bit to play, but Basil could be a thorn in either team's side here, potentially getting some shots off from a different angle.
So phase 9 and how many smokes Basil have is super important to the longevity of his survival. Of course, Buriram with the numbers, but really 3 up for Kaiser Tuna isn't so bad. You get 1 knock onto Buriram and then it's all evened up pretty quickly. And then also if Basil's sneaking around and fires at Buriram, very quickly you can go from 4 up to 2. If Basil gets knocked down onto Golden Hell and then someone from KT gets one of the other three, you can go from a 4-man advantage to a 2-man advantage in the blink of an eye. So anything can still happen here. In saying that, though, Buriram are favorites to pick up this game. 68 points currently on the standings. Buriram only the one chicken dinner so far. After the 9 games, this is now the 10th game we've played. So if they can get the win here, 2 wins in 10 games is not so bad for Buriram.
Yeah, definitely. You'd take those any day of the week. And Buriram's not in the greatest position for where they are right now, but they're looking to work it forwards. But as we say that, Basil is looking for an angle here. He can spot out God Meow, but Buriram right now, all their focus is onto Cerberus right now. Kaiser Tuna, they do have the smoke wall from Buriram to play behind. They can close the distance, and they're doing so right now. And Basil picks up 1, so this can be definitely a game changer here for Kaiser Tuna. Basil gets taken down. Bot Bass, spray comes out, Nordra goes down. All left up to Edie in the bush right now. He does get 2, I believe. So we're down to a... Is this a 1v1?
It's a 1v2, I think. 1v2, he gets knocked down on the bot blast. Now it is a 1v1. Morsate against Edie. Edie's done an amazing job from this position. Do you back him to close it out? Yes, you do. Oh, yes. Buriram United Esports 9-kill win. And it was mostly thanks to Edie towards the end. Basil did as best as he could, really, for Cerberus Edge. He almost got 1v4, just about. But Buriram come out by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, Basil was really trying to give that win over to Kaiser Tuna there. He was doing a lot of work. It was just unlucky that Kaiser Tuna had to push through those smokes and come into Buriram. But really well done on Edie there to actually hold it down and pick up the rest of those kills, because without him in that position, they would have just been out.
Well, yeah, they really would have, but it was really almost in the end kind of like a 1v3 at one point in time. Really 2 quick knocks from Basil onto Buriram United, and then we see that Kaiser Tuna smell blood in the water. They pounce on that, and then not only do they pounce, but they just sort of fall over. They weren't able to do anything. Edie stood up when it mattered, and Buriram come away with the win. Ironically, I kind of figured they would win this game, but not in that fashion, not the way that it transpired. It looked as if we were going to see Buriram falter, but Edie saves the day.
Absolutely right. And Kaiser Tuna came so close. They had the right idea. Potentially, if they had that extra player alive, they could have converted that into a win. But at this point in time, it just wasn't meant to be.
It certainly wasn't. I mean, look, I'm definitely seeing better things from Kaiser Tuna. We're seeing better things from Cerberus. We're seeing better teams. And this is probably the story that has transpired over the first 2 games. Is from the teams down the bottom and the teams around the middle portion, which is great news for Divine Esports and their fans as well, because Divine have been flaky over the first 2 games, and yet the teams directly below them have not punished them, Edge. Like, not even close. It's taken a team, to do crazy things. Like, for example, we've seen the rise of certain teams in the middle of the pack coming up towards the top end, like Division X Gaming. But because they weren't directly below them, like, say, Bay was, they're still not really that close. And so Divine still have like a 20-point lead.
Yeah, Divine are just keeping themselves up there by picking up all these early kills. They haven't got any placement points in the past 2 games, but they've brought it back by getting the 4 kills in the first game and the 6 kills in the second. So they're keeping themselves above everyone else, but they're not doing they're not doing enough to keep pushing themselves higher.
No, I agree. And what's interesting here now, Kaiser Tuna, 2nd place Edge, 8 kills. They had 2nd place and 8 kills in game 1. So they've literally just had duplicate games back to back for Kaiser Tuna, which is not so bad. I mean, that's 28 points gained over their last 2 games, now putting them on a total of 60 points, gets them into the top 8. This was a team, at one point it was starting to get pretty bad for them towards the end of the first weekend, and now they've sort of bounced back after they kind of had a decent start on the first weekend as well. Astra just barely holding on into that top 8 position as well, 55 points. But the story, of course, Divine Esports did technically crack triple digits in that game. Within the first 15 minutes, they picked up 6 kills and then went out in second last.
Yeah, this is really at the point where teams like your Fury, your Bay, your MSC, all the other teams that are slightly trailing your top 1, top 2 teams, they're going to have to pull it out big time coming into Miramar here and have some good games, because at this halfway point you don't want to leave anything to chance. You need to come out swinging.
Definitely agree. Basil, 1,000 damage in that game. Not a surprise considering the end that transpired. And really, for Divine Esports getting off the hook, because it could have easily been Division X Gaming getting, say, second or first, depending on what happened in that compound fight. Didn't end up going the way of Division X. They, of course, bowed out to Cerberus in the end. Fortunately for Cerberus, they get those kills, they get those placement points, they get out of the bottom 4, technically still in the bottom 5, but a bit of a 3-way tie there with From the Future and MSC Theraton all on 42 points. Some of the highlights from match 2 here for so far day 3 is we are now halfway through the night already, and well, Erangel certainly lived up to the billing tonight in the 2 games that we had.
Yeah, absolutely. The Erangels that we've had have been absolutely chaotic, and it's been great to watch. So I think the viewers at home will definitely be happy with the action that we've been given right now.
Of course, though, there's Basil getting God Meow. He was in the blue as well when he got Canaxi, so it was the blue that took him down more so than anything. Had he not been in that position, who knows, could have potentially gotten even more, as Edie ended up cleaning up the mess, picked up the 1v3 against Kaiser Tuna. He had no kills prior to that, ended up with 3 at the end of it. So massive win in the end for Miramar United Esports. They're a team that have got always a lot of people saying that they're a chance to win any of these PUBG Continental series. They've been through all of them, the Charity Showdown, the PCS1, PCS2. They're into the top 3 now. When you look at Divine, Division X, Buram, Bay, and Fury make up the top 5. I can't see a winner coming from any team outside of the top 5.
Yeah, that's right. We do have Cerberus has been making a little bit of a climb. You know, they could bring it up into that top 5, but as unlikely it is, it'd be a great story to watch, honestly. But it's very unlikely.
You've long way to go, I think, for Cerberus. That's for sure. That they'd have to pull off a bit of a miracle. We're going to go to a break. On the other side, though, we are, of course, going to have our 2 games of Miramar, so stick with us. Welcome back, everybody, for the PUBG Continental Series 2 APAC. We are getting ready for our Miramar games. Once again, joined by the lovely Edge Tarley, Sam's brother from Game of Thrones. It started to be noticed now, Edge, hasn't it?
Yeah, I got it back when Game of Thrones was a lot more popular, so it's nothing new.
Take it on the chin. It's a compliment more than anything. But
I mean, I wish I was him.
tonight, the compliments definitely going towards Division X Gaming, Kaiser Jr. We were speaking about it sort of in the break. They've been sort of the two most consistent teams so far tonight. And then ironically, Divine kind of consistent with their kills on Erangel, just have been lacking those place points.
Yeah, so over the past two maps, Divine's averaged 5 points, and that's come purely from kills. So they're keeping it up there. And then you've got the likes of Kaiser Tuna, who's 2 second place, both with 8 kills, I believe. So they've had a really big showing, and from a poor first week for them.
The other thing we sort of spoke about was the teams that were directly below Divine Esports, the ones we thought would be challenging, them and their precipice in first place. Bay, Fury, Daytrade. Not one of those teams has placed in the top 6 so far tonight after 2 games played. Dreadful. If I'm going to be completely honest, just dreadful for teams we consider to be contenders for first place, to be teams that are contending to take out Divine. Instead, they've been essentially replaced by Division X and Miramar.
Yeah, we'd expect them to be up there, but you have you expect teams to have rough nights, but we've had all of our top teams having all of our top contesting teams having rough nights. So it's weird to see. Divine haven't been really capitalizing too much on it, but it just takes one game to swing it back around.
100% agree with you. It's all it can potentially take. You look at a team like Bay, Fury, Daytrade, those teams I mentioned. If you go out now and get a 10 to 15 kill win and Divine get nothing, then suddenly it could be even single digits. So very quickly, things can turn in your favor. It's the beauty of PUBG. You get many, many goes at it before the final results are put out. In saying that, though, we both kind of expect Divine to turn things around. Looking at the statistics, they are the best team on Miramar so far for PCS2. I wasn't even looking at the right-hand side of the screen. I promise at the points per map when I saw that. 11 points per map on Miramar. That is number 1. But looking at the Wikipedia as well, you can kind of tell that from there too. And the way that they were playing last weekend. So considering they had a bit of a shaky couple of games on Erangel, we look to see our leaders bounce back here on Miramar.
Yeah, and we've got Fury and Daytrade very close behind on 10.8 and 10 points per map on Miramar. So that's a good sign for them that they can have those big games to catch back up. But it all depends on the RNG that you're given by PUBG. So we're about to see the circle pop, and it's a very good circle for Fury here. So not too much of a movement from them. They do normally loot Lost Leones, so they're going to have a good head start here.
Bit of a southern circle to kick us off here for match number 3, day number 3. And you mentioned that Fury typically looting around Lost Leones. It's been case for them so far for all of PCS2 APAC. Bureau Ram are within this phase 1 circle as well as Kaiser Tuna, Daytrade. So a lot of teams of note you would think should have pretty central positions. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, for instance, dependent of course on whether or not the circle sort of hard shifts away up north and away from these teams. But it's not a horrible start. Obviously, phase 1 doesn't dictate much. In saying that, on the other end, up north towards Lacob, for instance, is Division X Gaming. Now, Edie, Cow with a Tommy gun. We saw it actually, I believe, in game 1 tonight as well, that it was used, and Cow's going to find the first kill of the game onto Bureau Ram United's Edie. And the Tommy gun's now 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, and that's a perfect start that Fury wants here, getting that first point. And it looks like they can potentially get even more, as God Meow's coming in very close to Ronan here. So this might not be exactly how Bureau Ram wants to start this, and Ronan's waiting very patiently with that SK. He does let Godmere pick up the gun, but I'm not sure if Godmere has any idea that he's here. And Ronan off hip with that laser sight takes down Godmere. So as quick as that, 2 points on the board for Fury. And Buran, from their good win last game, they're already down to 2 members.
The Tommy gun, the SKS, the split looting, Buran right now are just tilted after that, surely. And as you said, down to just 2 players left, Canaxi and Nordra. Hard to imagine that they're going to be able to achieve much in this game in particular, right as the PCS2 champion prediction puts them into 23% into second place with their prediction. Well, I think that will change again probably in the next game. Fury still with a pretty high percentage chance. They were at 20% to start the night, Edge, but now it's dropped to 14%. On the flip, Divine started the night on 40% and somehow have gone up to 41% despite a shaky 2 games. So not much changing in there, I guess, in terms of number 1, but obviously 2, 3, and 4 changing up a bit. And for Buram, despite the fact that they had a couple of good games on Erangel, this is not the way you want to start your Miramar games.
For every good game that a team has here, it's going to see a little bit of a shuffle in the predicted placements. But the likes of Bay, who is currently sitting in 4th, I just thought I'd point out that they're dropped all the way down to like 9th on the predictions. So the prediction's not really favoring the Bay team at the moment. But
you know what? You know what, though? I think a large reason for that, and this is just my own thought process, is that the majority of Bay's points have come in like 3 games. And then if you're looking at them over the 10 games as a whole, it's like 7 average games, 3 really good games. And the prediction probably looks at that and says, well, on average, they have a good game every 1 or 3. That's not going to win you PCS2 APAC. So I kind of agree with the predictions there. In saying that, though, all it takes for Bay, for instance, is another one of those really big games here in game 11. And all of a sudden, it's like 4 really big games outweighing the other 7 average games.
Bay is one of those teams that when they can create space for themselves, they can pick up a monstrous amount of kills. So, and that's what we've seen in the games that they have scored big. So as long as they can make that space for themselves, they can do a lot of work. But it is very difficult in this pretty stacked lobby.
Obviously so. The talk of the town right now, Bay, and whether or not they can turn things around tonight. They did it on night 1. If we sort of recall back, night 1, after 2 games played, although it was on Miramar, 13th, 0 kills, 7th, 0 kills. Then first with 17 kills, second with 7 kills. So how quickly you can turn things around. Outside of that, though, a third, a 15th, a 4th, a 3rd, a 9th, and 11th. So I guess inconsistency so far has been the mantra for Bay. As we have a look at X Stadium from the future to bottom of the pack teams fighting it out early. Hongvu knocked down or knocked down, already eliminated by Tede. That nade's going to miss the mark on Anando. Neither of these 2 teams obviously going to be competing for top 5. It's just a matter of where they finish. Do they make top 10? Do they get something like 8th, 9th, or 10th, or making sure they avoid the bottom 4, bottom 5?
Yeah, that's right. But it is quite a high tier compound that they're fighting for over there, and it does seem that no one's backing out of it for now, as TD does pick up another kill there. So I believe we're at like a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3 now for Game Home and Archangel. Bay is harassing VTR quite a bit right now, and VTR is definitely deciding better to get out of that fight. A very advantageous position for them to be holding and to be trying to contest Bay on. We do see X Stadium still in this fight with From the Future. J-Ken holding out the molly while 2 from the Future are currently knocked. The Vault comes out. From the Future trying to get their revives and their health back up. J-Ken will get taken out by Nando. TD still healing up. From the Future, is that all of them eliminated now? I don't believe so.
No, I think they've still got 2 players at minimum. In fact, they've got 3. Just the one gone. Bit of a skirmish, but Really, no end result coming from it. 58 seconds till phase two. Vision X Gaming coming in very, very late here. Long rotation. Coming out of their original loot location of La Cobb, they've now rotated just to the west of Al Azhar, and they will essentially just skip phase one altogether, go straight for phase two, which is fair enough for this sort of circle anyway. And Miramar, compared to Erangel as well, you can come in quite late and still find compounds available. Maybe not always the best ones, but there typically are some still left. Jukesy and the rest of Fury with a bit of a split down south close by to Los Leones. As we look at the kill proportions, no surprise to see Divine topping the way of kills, but look how evenly split theirs is, especially in comparison to something like Day Trades, where it's mostly Norins and Venotica as the two major kill winners. 8 more seconds till phase two.
Yeah, and when you've got that uneven spread, it's not helpful for the load of the team. If you've got one player who's clearly outperforming everyone else, they're obviously confident, but if your other players aren't getting kills, they're a little bit disappointed. You know, maybe they're questioning if they're good enough to get those kills or anything like that. But when you're Divine and you've got that nice even spread of kills, you're very happy with yourself. You're very happy in the team. You know, everyone can put in numbers to perform, and you don't have to worry about anything else there. You're just confident in how your team's going to play on an individual level.
Phase two doesn't really change much up here, which is fine. Miramar typically is slow and steady, wins the race. You can play edge if you want. It's not as bad on Miramar, especially if you can land your shots with your DMRs, for instance. You can really get involved, and really even playing from the edge position on Miramar, a lot of the times the sort of ravines you're in or the way that the terrain is sort of lopsided, if you get knocked down, you're typically going to be quite safe anyway and can get revived comfortably. Whereas Erangel can have a lot more of that flat terrain where if you do get knocked, you're definitely going to get finished as well. Lots of little compounds as well. There's just so much real estate available. And you can have a lot of teams sort of condensed and congregating towards the center of a circle, and yet everyone can be in a compound. And that's just the nature of Miramar. It's a lot safer early on. It's why it's typically quieter, and we don't see as much happen on Miramar compared to Erangel until at least phase four.
Yeah, that's right, and it's not as easy to breach compounds on Miramar as well. You do generally have those big hills and defilades that you can play leading up to compounds, so you really don't have to take that all-in risk on just going full YOLO onto a compound. And you see a lot of teams that they don't even go for it. But as we say that, Astra just full sends it into the compound that's currently being shared by VTR and X Stadium. Both teams, VTR is still 4 up, but only 1 in this compound currently. And X Stadium with 1 player in, just letting GenFoss in. No worries in the world for now.
VTR just on the other side of the road now, and you can actually see Samoy making his way across to Drew Bart with GenForce. Now, GenForce has no idea that Miaoyu is right there for X Stadium, the solo remaining. In fact, they just let off a few shots, unless that actually came from Astra. So actually, I think Miaoyu still hasn't actually given away his position here to Victim Rise, which is good news for the time being. Obviously, you don't really like to be in this situation if you are X Stadium, and GenForce definitely took the shots from Astra. 2 now here for Victim Rise, and of course Miaoyu sitting in there as well. 3 more nades available for Zoidmate. 29 seconds till phase 3. And this current compound, if Astra can win this fight and they get a northern shift for phase 3, could still very well set them up for the remainder of this entire game.
And this compound that Astra's fighting for right now is a very high tier compound. If this centralizes, if this shrinks to the south, it's something that they can quite easily play off the hills for. But we have to wait for this circle, as we do see it actually goes hard west. So,
wow, look at Divine though.
Yeah, this is a good circle for Divine, and now you see them regrouping. They don't want to have to leave numbers separate from each other, so they can get picked off one by one. But they'd rather play a high tier compound as 4. Which is a very good decision here, as Astra now is leaving from their compound. It's definitely not worth overstaying your welcome there and having to take that fight.
All 4 members of Divine Esports hard fed here. Oh, Miao, I thought actually was about to get run over there. Chiberet probably didn't even see him with the way the vehicle was sort of leaning upwards. Gets the knockdown onto Chiberet. Miao, expecting reinforcements to corral his position. And Chiberet's going to be stolen by Fakey God of MSC Theraton. Nice try though from Miao. Like a Kabuki out, eliminated by Subang of Cerberus. And well, Fury's Knight just continues to go quite pear-shaped, and Levi's gets the easiest kill you will ever get. He's literally driven by and just said, all right, I'm going to get out of the Barada now. Kill me.
Divine absolutely getting fed kills right now into their compound. It is an incredibly hard compound to breach into for day trade, and it's so strong to fortify for Divine here, and it just shows that as day trade's been decimated and now they're down to 1 player. Divine's still 4 up, and they're getting these early kills as well. So, and that's what's setting them apart right now. They're able to get those early kills, and then if they have a good game, they convert it into placement points as well. That just puts them that much further ahead.
It's been a really, really rough night as well for Day Trade Gaming. And I keep mentioning these teams, but they looked very good on the first weekend, Edge, and just right now they haven't backed it up at all here for day 3 of PCS2 APAC. Although this is better from Fury. 3 kills now. They've at least made amends after losing Cal. And it is something that they can actually do very well. Of course, Cal, IGL, it makes a lot of the calls, but you can do that still from the grave. The other guys can still frag out. Nade's going to fall short of the mark against Poochills. Fury have shown time and time again, though, Edge, that they can still rack up a large amount of kills. In fact, sometimes I think they even do better when their back's up against the wall.
Yeah, Fury is one of those teams that are extremely confident in their team play. So they even when they're down numbers, they don't mind taking those risks to potentially pick up a lot more kills. And especially when they feel that a team's weaker than them, they'll just push it with no worries in the world and take every opportunity that they're handed.
I should say, obviously, Insights, the IGL, made a mistake there. We all do. Cal does have a very loud voice, though. You all know that one. There goes Day Trade. No surprise there, of course. Puchills was the solo behind the rock, and we've seen that story time and time again as well, Edge. It doesn't work out for the said solo behind the rock. And another interesting circle as well up north towards Jumasera, as Divine will remain fed. They're in a good position. We've also got MSC Theraton up north as well. Astra inside of this circle, Division X on the other side of the road. And it goes back to what I was saying sort of before as well, that there is still a lot of real estate around in these, Miramar circles that you can have compared to, say, Erangel. Phase 4 Erangel, a lot of the times you can, of course, have a lot of wide open terrain and very little actual compounds. That's where you sort of see the shack plays, the hut plays, more so in Erangel compared to Miramar.
That's right. We can fit a lot more teams into a lot smaller areas here, as you can have 6 teams in different defilades in a 100-meter radius. So, you've got all of that area to play. It's just how good your map knowledge is and how efficiently you can play it. You've got a lot of teams right now who are just hiding in these little dips, little defilades, seeing what they can do, seeing what positions they can hold up to, and hopefully they can make it to the end game.
14 teams, 48 alive. Just touching on the 17-minute mark, so about halfway now, or just slightly past halfway in this particular game. And of course, the next game after this as well will be the halfway mark of PCS2 APAC. So time slowly running out for these teams, especially towards the bottom end of the standings. And the teams towards the top end that haven't really been able to make Divine Esports pay, for instance, may just get that wake-up call in this particular game, because now the luck and the tide has turned in favor of Divine, for instance. They've been fed this game, something that they didn't get, obviously, in games 1 and 2, Edge. Their luck was always bound to sort of turn around a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Divine on Miramar has seemingly always put themselves in such good positions to end out their games, and they're having the kills to back them out, as we do see Bururan pulling up for a quick kill onto Kaiser Tuna here, as Nordra is in this battle as Kanaxi picks up Nezra as well. Nordra comes up against Botbass, but Botbass gets the better of him there. So Botbass, the last man surviving for Kaiser Tuna currently, but will be able to pick up one of these revives here.
4 players still up as well for Division X Gaming. Currently 23 points behind Divine Esports. Nice nade from Subang onto NBK. Can get the revive. Niles doing a decent position for them. The front end, trying to keep the pressure on the Cerberus, who have got 2 up close, and then they have the 2 anchors behind. Those anchors are now gone. So it's only Subang and Basil that remain for Cerberus Esports. They've lost Haisaki, they lost Smell. Basil with a double nade, though. And Long K now in a 1 versus 2. Subang immediately just going to push over from above. Should surely get Long K, and does. And Cerberus have just turned it on its head against Division X Gaming. Annihilation. It's certainly correct there. Job not done, though, for Cerberus. Victim Rise pushing onto this position. And Subang knocked down. Basil, unfortunately, just not going to be able to gain much more from that position as the solo player does go down to Genfos. Fergus picked up a kill from the grave with the bleed out, and at least for Division X, did get 1 extra point from that, but still losing that fight, not ideal for the team in second place. Ronan, great nade onto Extreme. And it's OC onto OC action here that we usually don't see too often. Fury versus Astra outside of the circle as well, Edge. So really a bit of a pit stop towards the next circle.
Yeah, this is one of the situations where if you're Fury, you're not liking your odds of getting into the next zone. So basically what you want to do is you just want to go for as many kills as you can before you die. And it looks like that's what they're planning to do here. They don't really have the best opportunity to get into the next circle, but if they get given the chance, they'll definitely take it.
Oh, almost. That was so close from Insight nicking the head onto one of the members of Astra. Now has to just fall back, takes a hit, but with that blue coming closer and closer, really can't stay there. Now just spots Victim Rise, though. Insight, could he get the knockdown with a Mini 14? Of course, time is all of the essence, and from what I can see, I'm not sure what the vehicle situation is like. Ronan knocked down by Genfos. What a nade. Bounced perfectly. Look how far away Genfos was as well. Now spots Insight. Fury could be out here any moment. Fortunately, though, the SLR does have to be reloaded, and it is. Insight, though, trying to just get this save and keep Fury alive. Bob up, bob down, bob up, back down, and gets a tag. That's all you really need just to send Victim Rise back. But I don't think you have any time at all to get this revive. You've got to go yourself here. In fact, I think time is out for Insight and for Fury. 3 kills, they'll get something, but no placement points this game. It also buys a lot of time for Astra to move forward into the next circle.
Yeah, right now, Insight's just going to be trying to be a pest, get this heal off, and potentially get a knockout onto one of the Astra players. And if he can do so, that's almost a confirmed kill, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get anything out of this, as VTR and Astra have both skipped forwards and found themselves positions in the next zone.
Not much really Insight's going to be able to do from here, and especially at phase 5, that blue's just eating your health away. Nikus will be the benefactor, though, and Astra will be more than happy to claim that because they have fallen out of the top 8, Edge, and well, this is sort of their ticket back into the top 8 now. If they can wipe out Victim Ryans right next to them, they'll get straight back in, who are currently in 8th position on 57 points. Next circle is just seconds away for phase 6. Do Divine have to move? No, they do not. MSC Theraton also in a pretty good position too, up north. And Lynxy very close by to From the Future here. You can just see on your screen just above. Should be able to get a quick double kill. Does get the first knockdown onto Nando. Can now reposition and has the information for the rest of Astra to push on this if they want to. It's only Defiant that remains. 1v1 above Lynxy. You back him every day of the week here. Just plays it perfectly. From the Future. A sent back to the past. Genfos, though, from behind. Gets Switchmate. Catches him unaware. Still has Extreme and Niku's close by, but Extreme goes down to Samoy. Victim Rise just tearing through Astra one by one. Niku's, though, comes up clutch near the smoke. Knocked down onto Samoy. Genfos, Kamals, last 2. That's 3 times that close, and he's going to get punished. Lynxy helping out Niku's from a distance, but Niku's is knocked regardless by Genfos. 1v1 remaining. Astra versus Victim Rise.
Yeah, this is definitely not how you would have thought that.
Oh, no.
How the outcome would have been, and that's VTR completely wiping out all of Astra. So That's putting VTR up above KT now. So Astra's still down in ninth spot, but they could have had such a good game if they had have wiped out VTR there. They would have been able to progress so well and been able to hold their side of the road, but now that's all taken away from them.
Unfortunate for Astra. They do pick up a few points this game. They'll hold close by to the top 8 within striking distance. And I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it, but they are still a team that if you have one big game, you know, end the night with a 20-point banger of a game, and that'll just skyrocket you up the leader board. But it has to be done. It's easier said. And Divine Esports Edge, like we said, are now finding a bit of a tailwind here on Miramar. 6 kills. And they are going to get placement points this time. And, well, very soon they're going to get the solo Lokis as well from Battle Arena Elites. This is Divine's game to not necessarily lose, but to continue to stretch the margin. This is their game to do that now.
Yeah, this is Divine's chance. This is what they need right now if they want to make this lead a lot more daunting for the other teams. They're up to 111 points right now as we do start getting into the thick of the placement points as well. So, and they've got no one in contention right now. All the way to 6th place is dead. So there's not really any chance for anyone to try and keep the points close. And if you look at the pack as well, you've got everyone from 2nd place all the way down to 12th within firing range of each other. This whole scoreboard can just change in one game.
I think it's going to change in one game, especially with that circle feed. They have not had to move basically all game, and yet they've still found kills along the way. So credit where credit due in that regard for Divine Esports. And, you know, admittedly, they were shaky in the first 2 games tonight on Erangel. But the team that's in first place can only remain shaky for so long. You've got to make them pay when they slip up. That's what Division X did. That's what Buriram did. But the teams below them, Bay, Fury, Daytrade, just weren't able to make them pay while they could. And then those 3 teams, for instance, as well, Edge, again, not really firing much of a shot here in match 3. And Divine have now fired a cannon of a shot because they're going to stretch this margin out exponentially larger.
Yeah, this should be free farming for Divine. And that's literally what we're going to see. Everyone has to move into their lines right now. And they've just got this fortified castle that they can just shoot at absolutely everything. And that's what we're seeing now with Archangel Predators trying to pull up right now. They already lose 1 player. Calbs is extremely low behind the hut, and Diane's nade takes him out. So there's only 1 player left from Archangel Predator right now, and no one else here has anything to play. They've all got to come into the lines of Divine. This is looking very impossible for everyone else right now.
Can he wipe out? Oh, that's gone straight under the Murado. It's a hole-in-one on the golf course from Killer. As Calbs is eliminated. Archangel Predator down to 1 remaining. The team in last place, 28 points. The team in second last place on 35. Killer has been killed by Yoshi Bimbiri. It's been a quiet game for MSC Theraton. They've been holding on the north side of the circle. Not really too many teams around them per se, so they haven't got a whole range of kills. But that means they've got all their players left alive. They've got, obviously, all their utility as well. 11th place right now for MSC. This is now potentially their game to put the pressure on the teams in the top 10.
For MSC, they might not be able to pick up as many frags as they would like, but they're going to be able to clean out, potentially, all of Game Home here.
4 teams, 12 alive for match 3 of day 3. The also Game Home, who have got 4 kills, almost flushes himself, I think, there. Now gets up with the barrel in hand. Red dot up close, but is immediately snapped down by Vega God. Diane getting involved. Divine, they'll be more than happy to eat up a few kills in this fight from a distance away. Pesos going to be eliminated by Rossiter Jr. of MSC. They have had to knock, though, themselves, so it's a question here. Do you keep the pedal to the metal and try and get kills, or do you go back and go for the revise? That's what Yanku's going to do. Go back to Vega God. Get him back up. Numbers is important. And Yoshi Mimburi also has been revived. Look how aggressive Divine are. They're not happy with just sitting inside of their compound. They want to push up. They're going to flash something else inside of the shack. Now the nade as well, which somehow bounced out. What the hell was that from JN? Flashed himself. It was just too good of a flash. Something else in the blue jumps out one window, and there's going to be ended by J-End. Divine up to 11 kills. This is going to be a brutal game, and they are going to have a huge lead. It's going to be 40-plus points, surely, over second place after this game is finished.
For sure, and this is exactly what Divine needs to do. They need to make sure that they're picking up every single kill, and they're doing exactly that with only one player left for MSC right now. And then the lone snake, Tonkay, who is in the back of their compound. Tonkay does have that 3 armor, and he will pick up 1, pick up 2 onto Divine. So if this man does it, this would be devastating for Divine. This is the game that they need right now. We do still have Turtle up.
It would be a game that they would throw. That's definitely for sure. I don't know if they need it. They're up 36 points over Division X Gaming, but look, I do agree though. Every point matters, and we're getting close to the halfway mark. There's still a lot of games to play. We're in this position like now. MSC Theraton, I think they have got the chocolates from this position potentially, because Turtle, Diane will need to come out, and they know that Tonkay is close. So the first objective in this mission is to take out Tonkay. Then you've got yourself a 2v2, throw out your smokes, clear out the battlefield, and then see what happens from there. But regardless, 13 kills for Divine. They'll get Tonkay here, surely. Turtle, yeah, well, Diane had his back anyway, literally. 14 kills now. And now it's just a simple 2v2.
And this is potentially MSC's game to win now. The the lone man in the castle of Divine has shifted the tides here. He's turned it all around. So MSC, they only have this one hut, but they might be able to pull out this win. But Divine is starting to make that push off the flash. They get some damage out onto Yoshiminburi. Yoshiminburi picks up Diane. Turtle picks up. What was that?
What? Oh! 16 kill win for Miramar United. For Miramar, what am I saying? Divine Esports. I got confused by the color. What? I'm just shocked. That was such a clutch play, Edge. I got the team wrong. That's how shocked I was.
I mean, I'm speechless. The flick at the end there was absolutely insane to clean that up. Like, he shouldn't have won that. He was dead to rights. He had to pick both angles at the same time, and he just gets both of them.
What a transfer. I haven't seen a transfer like that for a very, very long time from Turtle. Boy, that is just the epitome of where Divine Esports are at right now as we edge closer towards the halfway mark edge. Look, I'm just going to say it. For all of PCS1, we were declaring that Q Confirm was the best team in APAC. That title right now belongs to Divine Esports. No doubt about it.
Yeah, Divine has pulled some tricks out of their hat. They're on the train. They're on the way home already. They've picked up their points. What are they now? 40 points ahead? Like,
yeah.
Even if they stay consistent, like even if they drop a couple of games, like teams shouldn't be able to catch up that easy. It's going to take some big games.
Don't you just love PUBG and the moments that it can bring, things like that? I mean, yeah, I don't see anyone catching Divine now. That momentum, you just kind of get the feeling that they're just going to do it again in this next game. That, okay, they had a couple of flaky games on Erangel, but we said it. At the start of Miramar, we said it, and the stats backed us up, that they're the best team on Miramar, and that showed, again, there why they are, and the best team probably overall right now in APAC for sure. They are setting the pace, they're setting the tone, and even in the games that really haven't been going well for Divine throughout all of PCS2 APAC, they're still picking up the points. They're still getting 4, 5, 6 points. That's their bad games. Like, yes, they've had a couple. I think they've had 1 donut. 2 donuts. They've had 2 donuts. That's it. Everything else on average is like 6 points or 26 points, like this game.
And if you're getting 4 to 6 points on your bad games, those are good games.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're coming out with the 26 points. Like, even if they get for all of tomorrow, if they get no points on any of those games, teams will be able to catch up a little bit. But then all it takes is one more game like this where they get a first place, a second place, and 8 or 9 kills, and they're back in the lead again. Like, they really don't have too much to worry about. It's going to take so much for anyone to catch up. It's going to take
Look at that.
a couple of wins for them to catch up. it's going to have to be
44
monstrous.
points now, Edge, heading into the final game at the halfway mark. So we've got one more game to go, of course, tonight. That will then be the halfway mark. We will be then at 12 out of 24 games. So technically, we've still got more games than we have played, but that's about to change, of course, in this next game to come. Division X Gaming, 84 points, are in second place, 44 points behind Divine Esports. Booram in third. Battle Arena Elite still holding on in fourth, and Fury still holding on in fifth. Day Trade have dropped now all the way to sixth place. Remember, at one point, Day Trade were leading with I think a 15-point lead as well, and they have just ground to a halt, like an absolute halt. They just can't seem to get anything to go their way right now. Diane with 1,000 damage as well, and this is, I think, the recipe for Divine. All four members, all four of them, Edge, can get the job done.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%.
Turtle's not even on there. It's Levi's and Diane, but Turtle's the reason why they won the game.
Yeah, they can have any single one of their players just switch it on, and that's all they need. They just need that one player to be like, all right, I'll take over here, and just comes out and gets the kills, gets the crucial, game-changing moments.
Let's have a look at the highlights from match 3 of day 3. Well, it all started perfectly well for Cow and Fury with the Tommy gun, and then the SKS kill from Rodin onto God Meow. This feels like a lifetime ago that we completely forgot. Buram really just ballsed this game up completely. But hey, at the end of the day, good start for Fury. Just couldn't quite get anything else happening before. Meow Yu, of course, the silent assassin trying to spoil the party of Victim Rise, was unsuccessful. And while this breach from Day Trade was just horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And all this has been so far has just been the Divine show, and that's what we're gonna see in a lot of these late highlights. Nice Nate does come out onto Ronan. We see some nice plays from Astra and Lynxy here, but coming into this late, it's just all Divine all the time.
And this is the final weekend as well, I think, for the Pick'ems. I think, I believe, don't quote me on this one, and don't trust me, go check for yourself in game, but I think tomorrow is the final day, isn't it?
I think it ends on Thursday before the North American games, but
obviously
this will be the last game. Tomorrow will be the last games that go towards the points that matter, really.
You can't pick anyone but the Divine from here, surely. If you haven't done your Pick'ems, I suggest you do so, and I suggest you put it on to Divine Esports if you want those juicy points. That's what I would be certainly doing right now, Edge. I know we've still got, one more game to go tonight, and of course 4 more games to go tomorrow night. So if you want, you can wait and see, but I'm happy to back him in right now. They're just looking unstoppable.
It's a good point to go for Divine. If you want those pick'em points, this is probably the most clear region to go for right now.
Sort of the Q confirmed from PCS1, I guess, potentially happening here. Still, in saying that, we have got one more game to go tonight. Will Divine end it with a bang, or do we see someone potentially just keep them honest at the halfway mark? We'll be back after the break shortly. Well, we've had some time to cool off from the fire that was, of course, Turtles win for Divine Esports to close out game number 3. One more game to go tonight, Edge, and right now it just seems like is Divine going to give us the same exciting pleasantries one more time to close it off here, because they have been exceptional, not just tonight, but on Miramar as a whole. Of course, as we've said throughout the night, they were quite shaky on Erangel, but Miramar just seems to be their playground.
Yeah, that's right. And if I'm every other team right now and I'm not sweating, there's definitely something wrong, because Divine is looking absolutely uncatchable at the moment. And I don't know if anyone's, with their current performance, is going to be able to put the points up.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not giving up just yet, though, on the teams below them. As I sort of just look at the Wikipedia, I still think the top 6 as a whole, Divine, Division X, Buram, Bay, Fury, Daytrade, have all still got, obviously, a clear-cut chance, because after this game, well, there's technically 13 games to go. So obviously after this, then there's another 12. We're at the halfway mark. That's the main thing I'm getting at here. And things can change. Obviously, Divine could have a slump next weekend, and that could be it for them. Who knows from there? Of course, we've still got tomorrow night as well. So there's a whole host of things that can potentially happen. But for Divine, the fate is in their hands. And that's always the nicest thing to have in PUBG, is when it's up to how you play that determines how you can then place towards the end. Final game of the night coming up very, very shortly. Who you got, Edge? Who you got?
Oh, it's a rough one. I want to go and say that I think Fury's going to pick up their first win. Let's go with the OCE boys.
Well, it's been an up and down sort of night for Fury. 15th place, 4 kills in that game though. 12th with 0, 8 with 10 with 3. So a bit of a mixed bag. Some placement points, actually more just 1 placement point, and then a couple of kills though. So they've been getting kills, and it was a great start in that last game, getting Buram United. They got 2 easy kills there, but that's not something you expect to be replicated. Buram, of course, are going to be sort of ready for that. It's a good decision, though, because as you can see in the points per map, Fury, 2nd place, 9.2. But in terms of teams, this is an intriguing fact. You say this, of the top 6, Fury is the only team yet to get a win.
Yeah, that's right. And Fury would desperately be after a win right now, because they haven't been playing their normal game. I don't feel they just don't seem that normal, confident, take out anyone Fury right now. Maybe that's just because of they haven't been getting a little bit of circle luck, or they haven't been putting themselves in the positions they want. But they just don't seem to be where they really need to be right now.
Well, if I'm going to have a bit of a prediction, I'm going to steer away from Divine. I don't think they need my caster curse affecting them, but Division X, I think, just to sort of finish the night off in fashion. They obviously had a great Erangel. They slipped up a bit on game 3, so kind of expect them to bounce back and just keep Divine honest going into tomorrow night. And potentially, I can kind of see a future for the remainder of PCS2 APAC, where we have a Divine Division X sort of showdown going into the final weekend, a tight tussle as a top 2, which I think as a viewer as well would prefer, rather than just a runaway clear favorite. But of course, for those with the pick'ems, you kind of just want to see that clear runaway favorite, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. You want those free skins, and if Divine gets it by a lot of points, you'll be definitely happy with that. You won't be upset unless you didn't pick them, of course. Which, come on, you need to pick them.
Well, yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that Divine by far the favorites, but what I'm saying is Division X Gaming are next in line. Not just because they're in 2nd place right now, but I think their play style, they've clearly found a switch tonight that has got them back to their absolute best as well. Yes, they had a bit of a down game in the last one, whatever, it happens. Even, we've seen 2 donuts from Divine so far, yet they're still 128 points. Buram close by in 3rd as well, and wow, look at the prediction though. 77% now for Divine. They started the night on 40% edge as well. So, and what's intriguing here is that the prediction only gives Division X a 1.62% chance.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, because tonight Division X has been probably the most consistent team. But I think the biggest thing for me is, like, right now there's a 40-point difference between Divine and Division X, but the predictions predict that Divine keep a 40-point lead on, uh, I believe it was Buram to come second.
Hmm.
So in that, you just think that potentially Divine just has consistent, decent games, but then there's always that chance that they just have another big game, and then they just extend that even further. So it's going to be interesting coming into the last half of these APAC games.
Saw Division X gaming there on your screens, and look, they're not the only ones, of course, with a low percentage to win right now. When Divine have soaked up pretty much everyone's chances, but it's a funny old game though, how quick things can turn. In saying that, what we've seen in past tournaments is teams such as Divine don't just suddenly stop. Like, how many tournaments can you really think back at the top of your head where a team is like 40 plus points ahead, halfway mark of a tournament, and then just capitulate? Like, literally just end up stopping and falling out of the top two.
Yeah, that's right. When you're that far ahead, it's definitely a big confidence booster. You know, you can make plays that potentially you wouldn't even make, and you just have that confidence going into it that allows you to convert every single game into potential big games. And that's a lot of what comes with holding that lead, especially when it's so big. When it's tighter, it's a bit more daunting. You maybe don't want to make any mistakes, so you play a
Look at the
bit more passive
damage.
than normal. Yeah, that's
Look,
right.
from Fury though.
Yeah, Fury is really surprising. They've got so much damage, but realistically, so little kills.
Well, you say it's surprising, but throughout all of the PCS that we've seen, Charity Showdown, PCS1, and now even PCS2, this is just a trend. This is just how they play. They get a lot of damage. They can't convert it to kills. For whatever reason, it just doesn't translate into kills for them. Whereas you look at Divine, who are basic, like, if obviously Divine have got a little bit more damage, but on the whole, they've basically got the same damage. But the kill differential is just substantially different. It's not even close.
Yeah, that also comes from Divine has had some very favorable circles where they're able to pick up all those late game kills, where Fury's games have generally been coming in from a less than a less than perfect spot and having to work for it. So they're doing a lot of shooting, putting out a lot of damage, but not being able to move into that late game means that they can't really convert the kills.
You'll see high Saki on your screen for Cerberus. They've been better tonight, better compared to what they were. They started the night off bad with a last place finish 1 kill, but since then, third place in 9 kills and then 6 kills in the last game. So, as I said, better, but still long way to go for the likes of Cerberus, especially if they want to end up finishing in the top 10, which, I mean, really is just at this point, it's a pass mark, but their expectations coming into PCS2, if you had said something around 8, 9, and 10, I think they would have been very disappointed with that.
Absolutely. And the points between that 8, 9, and 10 spot is within reach for Cerberus. You know, they've still got another 12 games left after this, so they can definitely push themselves up there. But from there, like, if they had tonight's performance every other day, I'd say they've had a decent tournament. They probably still haven't performed to their expectations, but it would put them probably up around that top 6.
Mm.
But they really need to just put it all together right now.
Well, there's a new code on your screens for the Pick'em Challenge, which, as I've now thoroughly advised, the advice of Xenox, it's to use it on Divine Esports. If you can, of course, redeem the code in time. Those things go like hotcakes, though. Best of luck there. Victim Rise, slight breach here from Kaiser Tuna. It's a slow one. Chibaret's hiding. May catch Botbass off guard, or Nezra or Mosate. Can get one, but then you'd think the reinforcements will just collapse on Chibaret's position. So that's when, as soon as Chibaret gets one, I was about to say Samoy then needs to get involved, but the fact that it's actually Samoy that goes down early, this is now basically over for Victim Rise. They need Chibaret to get one, and then Samoy capitalize on another one going for the refrag. That's really difficult from this portion because Chibaret's a solo surrounded by all of KT.
And the rest of VTR's nowhere to be seen. Camels off to the far east in a central compound, and Genfos not even grouped with Camels here. So there's really no sort of helping Chibrit right now. Maybe he gets a one and done kill where he might be able to pick up a player, get a flush, and get that extra point for VTR, but I really don't see anything more coming out of this.
I think the best thing right now for Chibrit is to just not actually make any noise and eventually try and stay alive for as long as possible and get out of that situation. Isaki going to be by Saki very soon, thanks to Celebi getting the headshot knockdown. But yeah, there's not much of a reason here for Chibrit to shoot unless he's in that sort of self-defense position where there's no choice but to try and shoot your way out. In this case, this is smart. He can actually just steal a vehicle, get away, try and group up with either Genforce or Kamals, or actually could even go and grab one, depending on what this circle, and then go to the other one. Well, they're actually both in a pretty decent spot here. As we see Game Home versus X Stadium. Pios going to get the kill onto Miaoyu, and it's going to completely miss this player though for XS. Jumps out the window. So phase 2 right on top of Power Grid here. Final game of the night. Jken is the last one alive for X Stadium, and they have seriously fallen down to the bottom of the standings. They're in the bottom 3 now. Nice headshot, but not enough to get the knockdown.
Yeah, I swear I've seen this before tonight with Jken being the last man surviving for X Stadium very early game, and it's not looking good for him with all of Game Home coming in and supporting him right now. So it's not looking very good, but this central circle, we actually do see Divine put themselves in the dead center right now, though, as Levi's gets knock onto Genforce, but gets knocked in return.
All 3 members of Cerberus just got wiped out in the kill feed before. Unfortunately, we've missed that one here. As finally, Pios is going to get Jake in with that nade, so X Stadium will be the first team eliminated. But that means Cerberus down to 1, so all that good fortune that they've had tonight is going to be subsequently eliminated pretty quickly here. As we have a look, of course, at Divine. Levi's is fine. 129 points for them, already a kill on the board. 4 players up inside the circle, rather center position as well. Astra versus Game Home. I'd love to just see Astra just maybe try and be a bit more aggressive and run as a pack here. Obviously, not necessarily just for God You. I'm just saying in general for this game. Try and be up more so on the forefront rather than sit back.
Yeah, Astra really needs to clean out God New here, because he could be a very big pain for them if they just leave him be. But it does look like they're looking to flush him out of this area. And Astra is in quite a strong spot right now. They're pretty centralized. They've got some good bowls and dips to play with, but they just need to be able to hold it. And they don't want to let Game Home come and regroup on God New. They need to sort of clear him out now.
They are just so passive with flushing out this one player. I mean, maybe they thought reinforcements were around the corner potentially, or maybe there was more than one there. I'm not sure, but it took them a while. Regardless, got the job done, though. That's all that matters. It's
not the usual Astra you'd expect here. The usual Astra's very confident in their plays and will make those pushes, but in this moment, they're probably a little bit concerned with their current positioning and want to make sure that they don't lose any lives that they could have kept up here.
Over to Division X Gaming, well spread over Al Pozzo. Playing a bit quieter of a game here for match 4. Obviously dependent on what happens in the next 20 seconds for phase 3. I think Bay also well situated too at the Al Pozzo crater. Basil, the last one alive for Cerberus. As I sort of mentioned a couple of minutes ago, they did lose 3 players instantaneously. I think they're going to lose Basil here as well, just completely misfiring there against Ronan. And Fury are on the board for the final game of the night. They send Cerberus out in second last place.
Yeah, and Fury's got themselves in a really nice position there. Dead center of the circle. Waikika Mukau is now grouping up with the rest. Never mind, not grouping up with the rest of the team. And but they do have themselves a good spot that they can play off. They are sharing power grid with MSC, but it's big enough that they don't really have to worry about them for now. As we do see Bay to be looking for their next spot, and there's not really too much for them to take here. They might be looking for that sort of that breach play as a last case scenario.
Yeah, they breach though. Game home's the closest to them. So you either go for the close one, game home, or you go for the very risky trip across the road towards power grid, knowing full well there's probably going to be a few teams there. So I think game home's the sensible option. It's the safest option, and it's still technically in the circle. So it's really the only option in the end, really, when you look at all of the sort of possibilities here. Kamals is obviously going to take a few cheeky shots at Kaiser Tuna as they rotate by. The same question can be kind of asked for them as they... Where do they go from here? This is the problem with the power grid region, is not as much real estate compared to other areas of the Miramar map.
Yeah, that's right. You do have a lot of you can play. Generally, in these circles, you can be seen from everywhere. But Kaiser Tuna is pretty lucky right now that the game home's not looking over at them because they're quite distracted with Bay at the moment. But Bay does have a lot of work ahead of them to be able to push into this game home compound.
A lot riding on it though for Bay, because you lose this fight and really the Knights say keep off. Started the night on 72 points edge. They're on 75 going into the final game of the night. You lose this fight to game home, and you almost just... you actually only gained technically 1 point.
Yeah.
All things considered, if you think about the points deduction. So it's not ideal. As Divine are going to have to work for it a bit more this game compared to the last one, but you definitely don't count them out. They're more than happy to run around on the edge and frag as well, and it's what makes them a strong team. They're quite versatile.
Yeah, that's right. And if they can pick up kills here before potentially going out, like, they don't have the best spot in the zone, but they have a lot to work off. So if they can just, kind of run around and go for a couple of kills, their night's been really good for them. They can sit pretty unless, like, Division X or Buran or something like that comes out with, like, some ridiculous 15, 20 kill game. They're going to be quite comfortable.
Cubs has just got a double onto Long K at MBK. Long K's gone. MBK, can he get the clutch save from Fergus? No, deny, not going to happen. Division X Gaming, the closest rival to Divine Esports, is up in tatters. There's only 2 remaining, Niall and Fergus. And with phase 4, but all confirming, we are going to have a power grid finish here for Day 3, Match 4 of PCS2 APAC. And that's just great news, though, for Divine, because now Division X can't keep them honest, at least in this particular game. That gap can just further grow.
Yeah, and this is probably the perfect circle for Fury. And look at how they're spreading out right now on that map. They're taking a lot of map control. They know that their back's clear in power grid for now. So they're trying to extend out, and they're trying to get a lot of kills this game, it looks like.
It's the sort of game they can just run around outside, even outside the circle, clean up teams like VTR, then Kaiser Tuna, and then you're just slowly making your way towards power grid. All of a sudden, you've got 10 kills, you're in the top 5, and that's the kind of game this really could shape up to be for Divine. It's where it feels like it's heading. Of course, provided they win those fights. At any point, they can, of course, lose the fights, and then they're out with just about nothing. This is a big one, though. Bay versus Game Home. There is a lot riding on this one for Battle Arena Elites. So far, +1 on the night. Flood's going to be the opening knock thanks to something else. Sophia is infiltrating their warehouse and has been spotted. The third party from MSC Theraton that's just going to have to force Sophia back, find a place to go prone. And Neferhort will be able to get the revive on Flood, but this is just not going the way for Bay.
Yeah, this isn't a spot where either team can really capitalize on getting a knockout here. The biggest game changer right now was Sophia, but him getting spotted out by MSC just changed everything right now. Bay's really back up against the wall. But they need Sophia to make a huge play so that they can get a little bit of space and push into the southern side of this compound.
Realistically, though, Edge, I mean, did you really even expect either Bay or Game Home, regardless of who comes out of there, to gain much else? Crossing that road is going to be so difficult.
They've got good defilade on the opposite side of the road. They can play, there's a massive hill leading up towards power grid. So if they're the last team surviving on the northern side of the road, they can play that quite effectively. But winning this fight, it's going to be rough. And if they keep their entire team alive, either side right now, I'd be quite surprised. as we do. Like Sophia's getting third-partied from everywhere.
Yeah, Yoshimibiri just continuing to pepper at Sophia. MSC Theratol just not allowing Sophia to get in this fight for Bay. It's almost like a 3v4 right now. Sophia just not really able to get involved. Like Kikamuka will get Veronica. It's been an awful day as well for Day Trade Gaming. They have just been thoroughly disappointing. 15th, 7th, and 15th, and well, who knows from here what's going to happen when you got 3 guys in a pickup truck with 13 teams still remaining. It's not been a good day for them. But Fury can capitalize. They can be the benefactors of these kills below them, wiping them out and gaining the points for themselves. JN's eliminated, so Divine, are they down to 2 or 3? They've got 3. Hard to see there with the skull, as there's actually 2 players on top of each other as well. Doesn't make it easy from the map point of view, as Power Grid is still in play. There's also a reprieve for both Bay and Game Home. They get a little bit more time edge to fight it out of that compound here for Phase 5. They're still in, but soon enough, Divine gonna have to make your way in. There's a lot of teams that need to get closer to each other here for Phase 5. 12 teams, 42 alive, final game of the night, and Divine are just looking to gain as much separation as possible. They've lost JN, but they've got 2 kills.
Yeah, Divine looking to put this pressure onto FTF, but it all comes back to this Bay versus Game Home fight, as Bay has to put pressure onto Game Home. Sophia does get taken down, and Loki's knocked as well, or cleaned up as well, sorry. So Flood and Nefahor have a lot of work to do. Nefahor gets a nice nade off, gets the molly as well, so that can delay a lot of time here, and Bay really need to make this push. It is a 2v2 currently, down from a 4v3. So they need to make that advantageous push over. They need to find the right timing.
It feels like they're all night to night. They just haven't been pushing on their knocks. They haven't been the aggressive Bay that we saw on the first weekend. Like, Glory's knocked down. Obviously, something else is making it very difficult for them to cross here. That's the very obvious point. And it's not as if they got much utility remaining, but while that smoke is still up, and now that it's going to be gone very, very shortly, as you can see, now you're completely out of options, and you're back to a disadvantage as a 3v2. Blood, did he land that headshot? Not sure, but he definitely took a lot of damage back from Glories. And that's 1 final first aid kit. Only bandages after that. Turtle, Levi's, Diane still alive for Divine Esports, but they're not inside of this Phase 5 circle. And Astra are just looming around. And maybe they could be the ones to send Divine out here without any placement points in the final game of the night. Or Divine could kind of just try and bypass them altogether. You can see the kill feed just really lining up as Yoshimibiri gets Nefahor, Bay down to just Flood remaining. I don't sense they're going to get anything in this game unless Flood pulls out a 1v3 up north.
Yeah, I don't think Flood's really going to be able to do much here, as they are getting third-partied by MSC as well. Flood actually picks up Glories. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get the flush. I haven't seen anything come out on that yet, but Flash has actually been taken out by another player right now. Divine looking to put the pressure onto the remaining players of Kaiser Tuna. Divine 3 kills at the moment. Possibly about to make it into placement point territory, as a couple of teams will be taken out on the edge of this zone here.
Astra. Look at Astra. They're just trying to sweep as much as they can. They're going to run straight into Divine. Now, Extreme not in a position to be involved. Theoretically, right now, it's actually a 3v3 unless Extreme can quickly make his way over to Divine. Now, that's, of course, if Astra take the fight. Now they're actually heading... to me, looking at the map, it seems like Astra are about to pinch themselves here in between the likes of Fury and Divine. You almost have to just sort of worry with how this is happening. Now, I think they've just spotted Divine thanks to Extreme. And you can see on the map, Niku, Zoid, Lynxy, all sort of looking towards Divine's location here. Try and sweep one way rather than getting both sides. Otherwise, you're going to be pinched between Divine and Fury. That shouldn't happen now. And it looks like Fury have just also cleared out that section, as Bay will be eliminated. Something else was knocked by Flood, but the stolen kill will go to Neza. So Bay... I mean, technically +1 on the night. If we want to go to the reality, it's technically +3 though. But Divine have avoided Astra for now, but they're going to run in towards Kaitsutuna. I think they'll be fine with this, because Ness is not quite there. Musati by himself at the tree with the knockdown onto Levi. So Diane Turtle. Ness is coming over the hill very, very shortly here to provide a bit of backup for Musate. Turtle gets Musate. And this is confirmed by Diane. Ness are gone by Linksy. Divine down to just Diane. Should get the revive onto Levi's. Turtle, not sure. Depending on if they can get a smoke over towards him. Depends on, of course, if Astra can see him. But Divine have found another kill point gain for them.
Yeah, Astra not able to take this fight against Divine right now as Fury are starting to push up very aggressively from the south right now. Fury need this position to be able to move into the zone. And Astra is the team holding them out right now. The utility's coming out. A little bit of damage onto Zoid from the nades, but nothing really substantial. Linksy in quite a good spot right now. If anyone tries to push in over the top, Fury backs against the wall. The blue is coming in. They need to really have some magic right now if they want to win this fight against Astra. Nikos does get the opener onto Ronan. Revive won't be able to come out now.
Look at Divine coming in as well. You can see them on the minimap. They're about to pinch Astra, who are already losing the fight to Cow. Gets Nikos, gets the Widmate as well. Divine are going to be coming in. They got the reprieve thanks to Fury pushing onto Astra, which meant they got all their revives. So they got 2 revives up. They've got 3 running in from behind now. 5 kills in total. Fury are low, Astra are low, and this also means Divine are going to get the entire section of this circle. The 2 OCE teams have actually just helped out Divine more than anything.
Yeah, Fury will be able to get their players back up as they do have a little bit of space here. Linksy actually gets knocked to the last tick of Diane's Molotov. So Divine going to be able to put in a little bit more pressure right now. Linksy will get stolen away by by Insight, and Cow will get that knock onto Levi's. So not too bad from the Fury boys here, and Extreme's the last man left. And Extreme, just like that, yeah, gets taken out by Insight. And this is where you see MSC starting to get a little bit agitated as well.
This is where you see Fury win. This is them at their absolute peak now. Confidence, moving, finding frags, cleaning up, and feeling that confidence flowing through them as they just run around, get kill after kill. They get Turtle, they get Levi's into the top 4, 11 kills. As I said before, Edge, they're the only team in the top 6 yet find winner. They're now in second place. And if they can win from here, they will seriously close that gap on Divine going into tomorrow night. As Edie does get glories, we change our transition up to the northern end of this circle for Phase 7. As I said, 4 teams left. MSC, Theraton, Fury, Buram, Game Home. Game Home have gone home, though. 3 teams left. 4 before.
Yeah, and MSC's starting to put a lot of pressure onto Fury now. They know that this is a fight that they can definitely take here. Fury's a little bit weaker right now. They've been in multiple fights and probably don't have the armor or the meds right now as Insight gets taken out very quickly by Edie from cross map, sorry. And Buram evening it up with Fury right now, 90 points apiece. Buren has the favor, having 4 players, and MSC's push is starting to come hard and fast right now as they're starting to throw the flashes out towards Ronan and Jukesy. Waikiki and Mukau not really in a position to help out as 2 players get taken out just like that. Ronan and Jukesy taken out by Yoshimin Burin and Rossiter Jr.
The Snakes have just sprung up and they've captured their prey. Cow behind a rock and has not got the high ground advantage, that's for sure. Does get the knockdown onto Yoshimin Burin. Not sure. Nordro's the one who actually got it. That makes a lot more sense. MSC Theraton have got a chicken dinner so far. Out of our first half of games, out of the first 12 games, Buram have got 2, looking for a 3rd one. Regardless of what happens from here, I mean, Buram and Fury, at the very least, 46-point gap with 12 games to go. Not impossible. Division X, not that much further behind as well. So, Buram, MSC Theraton for themselves, though, Edge, looking to get into the top 8. And a win here certainly will do that. Look at how close that scoreboard is. Daytrade on 69 points are in 6th place. 6 points above MSC, who are down into 11th. They can seriously just shoot up the standings with a win here. Now, they should get rid of Cow. 11 kills for Fury, but it will be 3rd place. Still no chicken dinner for them. But here comes Buriram United Esports looking for their 3rd win. It's Thailand versus Thailand. MSC Theraton, though, have got the high ground. Yanku 2 off, sitting back as an anchor. So is Nordra for Buriram. So 3 up close, 3 front line for both teams. 1 with an anchor. Could actually just spots Vega got not paying attention at all, and that's going to be an easy knockdown for Buriram. Now they've got the advantage, the numbers advantage, but as I watch the map, as I look at the mini-map, Yoshi Minburi, the stealth agent trying to just flank from behind for MSC Theraton, could catch potentially 2 or 3 off guard as Yanku needs to come closer, get involved, try and keep Buriram at bay so that Rossiter Jr. can get the revive on a Vega God, which is successful. Molotovs as well, just trying to buy some time.
Yeah, Yoshimin Buru is really going to be the game changer here. If he can get a knockout, 2 knockouts, it changes the tide completely for MSC, and the remaining players can just push over that top ridge. But he needs to do something reasonably soon. He does have Godmere close. He can potentially get to Edie and Canaxi, but he just needs to pick his right timing here. If he goes too early or too late, he could just be doing absolutely nothing at all. We are into phase 9 here, so it's going to start forcing everyone towards the center. MSC technically has the better position here, but never count out Buran United.
You mentioned it, Yoshi Minburi is in the best position right now, you would think, to have a large impact here towards the end. Final game of the night, a reference. Of course, 4 more games to be played tomorrow night. After this, though, we are now halfway through for PCS2 APAC. God me out. What is his spot? It's Yanku. Also done up close. Just feels like whoever gets the first knock here is going to be so important. Rossiter Jr. knocked out, but finally, Yoshi Minburi gets up. He gets 2. Nordra, God me out, both knocked down, and MSC Theraton are going to take the advantage. 3 versus 2. Can Canaxi do anything? No, he cannot. Vega God, but it's Edie. He got a 1v3 earlier on at low health. He gets a second one, but he can't get a third. Oh, MSC Theraton almost threw it away to Edie, but they get their second win of PCS2 APAC in style on Miramar to close us off at the halfway mark. 12 out of 24 games in the book.
How far has MSC just pushed themselves up? After a second place and then a win? I see 6th place at the moment, but they could be higher than that with the placement points. They might be just behind Bay here. So, absolutely monstrous effort from them. Yoshi Minburi coming in absolutely clutch right at the end when he needed to. He waited for Buran to engage and then striked.
Yeah, 100%. Just MSC, as you said, shooting up the standings. I agree. I think it's like 6th place right now from what we saw very at a glimpse at the end of that game. So I did call it. They were only 6 points behind Day Trade there, going in that middle of that game. So obviously then you get the win, you do the maths, and it would be no surprise to see them in 6th place with 12 games to go as well. Maybe a bit of a dark horse to just keep things ticking along for them. I still can't really put it past probably the top 3, top 4 now with 12 games to go and saying that. And obviously I still can't go past Divine Esports. That is for sure. It does feel like some points were left on the table in the end for Divine from that final game, but they've still done the job tonight. They've still got a 40+ lead with 12 games to go. So they really should be the major talking point, I guess, out of tonight.
Yeah, Divine should be the winner. Like, it's quite clear right now. Even like they just need to have average games, you know, your 4 or 5 points a game, and you can keep it up there so easily. It's going to take so much for anyone to catch up. And we see, MSC on a 20-point game from their previous second position in the last game. So huge game from them. Fury, I thought they might have won this one, but they've come out with 16 points. So a good game to end on for those guys. And Buran as well up there on 13 points. So it's keeping it really, really interesting towards that 2nd to like 6th position right now.
I think for Fury as well, it gets them out of a thunk. 15th, 12th, 8th, and 10th. That was their placement points prior to this game, where they then finished 3rd. So not only did they finish 3rd, they got 11 kills. Maybe just reignites the engines a bit going into tomorrow night. And we know what they're like. Once they get on a roll, they can stay on a roll. So we'll see if that happens for Fury tomorrow night. For MSC Theraton, like we said, they've jumped up into 6th place now off the back of that win. It is their 2nd win of the tournament so far. So while they have been inconsistent, when they do win, it shows why they were considered to be a contender, why they keep winning the Thailand qualifiers, for instance. So but by all means, it's not a surprise to see them doing well. Buriram United, I thought they were very, very good tonight as well. for them. They picked up a win, a second place, 7 kills, a couple of kills in their other games as well, and obviously Divine Esports, right? They were so exceptional tonight in that massive win that they had. In saying that, though, points were left on the table as we sort of dissect all the games. Erangel 11th and 15th, but they had 4 and 6 kills. That just kind of got them an extra 10 there. And obviously in that final game of the night, 5th place with 5 kills. That's a good game, and that's what we keep saying about Divine Esports. Their bad games are still something like 5-6 points.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what I mean by keeping your averages high. And Divine's just absolutely showing it. They're staying super consistent even outside of their above average games. They're just keeping it competitive between absolutely everyone else and making it really difficult for people to catch up.
Mm. You can also see sort of the placement points there, 53 for Divine, and then everyone below them from 2nd to 6th is on 33 points just about. If not 33, it's either 32, 35. Extraordinarily close, really, everywhere else except for Divine, who have got like a 40-something point gap. Look at the highlights before we get to the interviews, of course, that will be happening later with 2 of our OCE teams, of course. This game in particular, though, I said Division X. They let me down, unfortunately. Not one of their better games. They only picked up the 1 kill, 14th place. They went out early.
Yeah, that's a shame. I picked Fury here. They did do a lot better than they had previous, and it looked like they had the potential to convert that into a win, but it just wasn't meant to be there.
Of course, so Fury, exceptional in that game. It looked like the Fury of old showed up for a minute, although they did get slowed down towards the end. Miramar United Esports, they could have easily walked away with the win in this game, to be honest. Maybe this play was a little too aggressive, and they kind of put themselves in a tricky spot, but ultimately it came down to a very close, proper 4v4 fight, and Embassy Theoretical, to their credit, came out on top comfortably, really. In the end, Edie tried to go for another 1v3. It wasn't going to happen 2 times in one night, that's for sure. He already got them the win earlier on in the night. You can't ask the man to do all that much. As we kind of just wind things down tonight, 45 points. 136 points after 12 games. The question I posed to you, Edge, will that be replicated? Will Divine essentially double their points or better?
Well, I think last weekend I said that, that Divine's wins have sort of been probably unreplicatable, but they've come out tonight and they've just shown that they can get the wins again, and then they can get those other high scoring average games. So I definitely think if anyone in the tournament can do it right now, it's probably Divine. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Alrighty, well, we've got surely an interesting interview coming up right now from Fury. It is like Kikamook out. No, he's not the IGL. It's inside. How's it going, buddy? Look, first thing I just want to say here is obviously great final game to sort of close things off. You can probably sleep a little bit easier tonight, but I posed my question as sort of a double question here. You ended last week on a bit of a sour note. I know you picked up 4 kills, but going out in second last is never great. And then you kind of got off to a slow start tonight. 12th, 8th, 10th. Placement points were hard to come by, but you kept sort of trugging away, getting kills. Did this final game, though, just sort of reignite things a little bit from what was, and if you want to answer it, a bit of a slump?
I mean, I'd like to think that there wasn't necessarily a need to reignite. We know we're a strong team. There's a reason why we were sitting in third after all those, the first 8 games. I think, errors are going to happen, mistakes are going to happen, and they did. And those games that we had, the 4th game, should be more consistent if we just tied it up a little bit. As normal, you have those problems, but then you get over it, and then you can have all those games be game 4s.
So in that, what would you do differently tomorrow, and what do you guys plan to bring to the table for tomorrow's night's games?
I mean, obviously we love our aggression. We love being aggressive around the map, taking big splits, big important team fights that we want to be able to do. It sucks when we can't do those as a 4-man. So the first 3 games we lost the player relatively early in all of them, and obviously that's going to make a huge impact into how aggressive, how big a split you can be. So hopefully we tidy that up. Then it's just going to be consistent, 8+ point games. Hopefully, if we just keep 4 up until phase 5.
Just a bit of a final question before I let you go. That first game of the night, that very northern circle, sort of towards Savernia, I made the point on stream that it's a very open area, especially if you're playing towards the edge of a circle. The teams that are in the circle can typically see quite far towards the edge. Did you kind of notice that? Because
Yep.
it seemed like you were just wherever you moved on the edge,
Oh.
you were just getting picked apart.
Yeah, no, it was dumb. Insight made a really good call. So like as much as all the rest of the server can see us, we can see them. We can see what's going on, who's where, who's splitting, who's doing whatever, and we didn't use that information to our advantage, like we should have. So there was a really good information that we got. Insight, made a call to do something. Things were a little bit hectic. We just lost Dukes, and we played passive. And when we play passive, we get punished. Simple as that.
Well, you definitely didn't play passive in that final game, obviously. So that was a lot better from you guys, and hopefully you can take
That
that
was
form
good. Felt good.
into tomorrow. So a quick shower, a quick sleep, and then back at it tomorrow night, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Shout out to the teammates. Love it. Good fun. Hopefully we can make all the fans proud. Clinic was not on today. No clinic. Clinic tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Sunday night. We're gonna move the clinic. To another day. Catch you later, guys.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, always one of the favorites to come on and have a quick little chat. But look, ultimately, I think you finish the night off like that, third place, 11 kills. You can just sleep that little bit better going into tomorrow night. You can now kind of breathe easy, look back at the things that hadn't been working the last couple of games. You've now got the points on the board. You're still sitting in the top three. You're only 1 point behind Sankin. It's not doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination, but obviously those guys in particular have made the pact that they want first place. That's their goal. That's the ambition. It's not second. It's not third. And they're still, to be fair, with 12 games to go, 46 points behind. So a bit of work to do, but if they can play like that final game a bit more often, there's no reason why they can't come back.
Yeah, that's right. They've definitely got it in them, and it shows with that last game. Like that's regular Fury that you normally see. So they bring that every game tomorrow and for the rest of the tournament. Then we've got a real big show on our hands, and they should be able to definitely push up some numbers to get them close to Divine.
Yeah, not just them, of course, but also Buriram on 91 points. They just keep going along nicely, Buriram United, and I do feel as if that they're in the same boat as Fury. They actually have very similar play styles too. Actually, that sort of edge play, roam together as four, try and get those frags. Buriram, though, unfortunately for them, throughout a lot of 2020, have just always sort of been the bridesmaid, never the bride, and they're just always falling short of the mark. And I don't know if I trust them as a team to be able to go out and have 4 big games in a row. That's my concern with Buriram United, because they haven't shown in 2020 to be able to do that at PCS. They have shown that they're a very, very solid team edge and they can get wins, but can they put together like a 4-game performance? Like tonight, for instance, a 10, a 1, 11, a 2. Sums it up.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't been that consistent team that they really need to be one of the the top 2 contenders, right? They can push it up there, but it doesn't look like they're able to keep it at the same sort of level of aggression and level of play to just push them up a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Division X Gaming, of course, is probably another similar team to the likes of Buriram and Fury. They've still got a chance, but boy, they finished Miramar in a horrible fashion. 14th, 1 kill, 14th, 1 kill after what was an amazing Erangel to launch them from middle of the pack to outright like contender to against Divine. But in the space of 2 games, they capitulated.
Yeah, before Miramar, I would have said that Division X was probably the most consistent team. They had some good showing. Obviously, they had the win, and then another good game after that with like a 4th and 6 kills. It was so they were consistent. They were up there, but then that consistency just instantly dropped off.
Definitely. I mean, before those final 2 games for Division X, right? Their first 10 games, a first, a fourth, a third, 2 6, 3 6s, in fact. So, I mean, like they literally had their 2 worst performances of the 12 games 11 and 12. And that can really be quite detrimental when you go into, I know it's not the week-long break that we obviously are going to have at the end of tomorrow night, but you kind of end the night in a sour note after starting the night in a massively happy note, I would imagine, after their 12 kill win and then a 6 kill fourth place. So Erangel was great, but I guess it does show that they've got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, that's right. And off that, if you're one of these teams like Division X, you really just want to reset after tonight. You know you've had some good games on Erangel. You know you can be better on Miramar, so you've just got to sort of take it as it comes for tomorrow and just really give it your all. And a lot of these teams will be going out, they'll be watching the VODs, they'll be making sure that they don't make the same mistakes that they've made tonight.
Well, sort of wrapping up tonight, we've spoken about Divine, we've spoken about Biram, Fury, Division X, and to round out the top 5 in that 5th place is, of course, Battle Arena Elites, and we've got the fortunate pleasure of having one of the cutest gamers in OCE, Flood, and unfortunately, though, it's not a happy night. I'm not going to go too much into the point deductions, but I basically can say, I mean, mate, it was only +1 on the night from last week. It's obviously a horrible feeling, but I know you guys know your potential, and you even showed us your potential last weekend. It's just a matter of refining it tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the point deduction kind of set the tone for the night. We're all a bit bummed about that. We thought it was a bit unfair, but yeah, I'm glad we got more than 1 point. We didn't want to get negative points tonight, so I'm glad we ended up going positive. But yeah, no, we were a bit upset about that reduction, if anything.
So you're one of the newest additions. You're the newest youngster to the team of Battle Arena Elites. How do you think the whole team's coming together, and do you think that your results so far are kind of what you expected?
Honestly, no, I didn't. I did not expect us to be second after week 1. I didn't think we were gonna do that well. Yeah, we've come along quite a long way. We had a pretty terrible PCS1, as everyone definitely knows, but I think we've improved a lot and we've started to show a lot more consistency. And I think we're starting to gel a lot better together, and we've kind of moved from like think a lot about what we're doing to just fighting and taking the fights. Like we know we have strong individuals. We know that we're annoying if we're just running E shift Wing. So we're pretty happy with how we're progressing. I think we just had like a really bad night, as every team has them. This is probably the worst night we've ever had. If I'm being honest, this is actually the worst night we've ever had. So it has to happen one day. So it just sucks that it's today.
Last one before I let you go, mate, and then I'll wrap everything up. But just something that I kind of noticed a little bit tonight, and I just want to see if you can shed light on it. Prove me wrong. I'm sure you'll be happy to do that. But in a couple of the fights tonight, you guys were getting like the initial knock. Let's say a 4v4, you then make it a 4v3, but there didn't seem to be urgency at times to sort of push on that and be aggressive. Obviously, you can have external factors to that, depending on can you get third partied? Have you got smokes up, sightlines, all of that. But was there hesitation in the plays tonight when you were potentially getting knocks?
I think we had a lot of plans that were good, but we just never chose like one. So we'd say we'd call something, and then someone else would counter call, and we'd kind of be stuck in between making 2 decisions, and we never really commit to one. And if it doesn't matter which one we committed to, we would have turned out better than just kind of being in that middle ground. But as far as the games go, there was a lot of miscommunications and a few individual errors. But I think especially that Erangel game where Sophia pushed up to the yellows, that was definitely a miscommunication. Yeah. As Loki's and I were getting shot, and Sophie's like, I'm not getting shot. I'm like, well, that's because we're getting shot. So we backed off, but he's still in there. we've told him to back off, and we all should have backed off there and started looking to zone, because there was so much free real estate in the south. And then that last game, I think we were just talking too much, and we were giving too many options when all we needed to do was just go take the 3v4.
I think if you go over the VODs of this game, there's a lot of things that you can sort of highlight that you guys as a team can obviously go back and be like, well, this is what I was talking about. This is what you were talking about. This is where we could have gone better. Yeah,
absolutely. Like tonight, I think we actually played really, really well in terms of getting to good spots and having opportunities to have good games. Like we could have easily had 30, 40 point night today, but we really just, after that first engagement, just never went through. And if it did, we probably we'd be a bit higher up on the leaderboards, probably holding on to second, considering even though we had 1 point tonight, realistically, we're still like 10 points behind second. Like, I think that's crazy. I think Divine's kind of soaking all the points, which is nice.
Can you just show us your bed? I just want to make sure it's made.
It is made. I just have a weighted blanket, which makes it look unmade.
Look, I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than Nephahall's last week, so I'll give you a B for that effort.
It is made. What are you talking about?
It's definitely. It's a
Well,
bit
it's
of
just
messy,
that one pillow is putting
messy,
off.
mate.
Yeah. It's just the blankets, mate.
Anyway, I'll let you go. Best of luck tomorrow night, man. Hopefully you guys can turn things around.
Thank you very much, Xenox.
So obviously, as Vlad alluded to, they did technically at least get a positive points tonight rather than negative. I think they would have probably been the first team in PUBG history to end a night on a negative had that happened. But ultimately, I guess they, have got things that they can improve on. They see that, and that's always a good thing, is that when you have that vision now to go back on, they can, of course, improve on that for tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's right. If you can't see what mistakes you've made or how you're going to fix those mistakes, it's really kind of not something that you can bring to the next night, obviously. And just knowing what you need to fix is a huge bonus. You don't have to spend all your time looking over VODs and all that. You can sort of just go over it quickly as a team, have a good night's sleep, and come in and frag out tomorrow.
Well, we are officially halfway through PCS2 APAC. Divine Esports leading by 45 points. 12 games to go, and of course, we will be back tomorrow night with the next 4 to see whether or not they extend the lead, or maybe some contenders start to catch up. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at the PCS2 APAC. you